Are you a dungeon master? Do you want to be a dungeon master? Do you have blue face paint on your face? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you're just like me. Not only do you enjoy smashing players in the face with your axe every time they metagame, but you're also a busy person, and while prepping for a D&D game, well, sometimes that's hard. And as much as you'd like to force one of your players to run D&D for a change, well, they all suck, so it's pretty much up to you to be the forever dungeon master. And that's exactly why I get out my crayons every month and write a new issue of Lair magazine. Well, I mean, it's not just me, I have a team of people too. We all get out our crayons and write it, but yeah. Anyway, every issue of Lair magazine contains 5th edition Dungeon Master resources to help you reduce your prep time while still running amazing games for your lazy, good-for-nothing players. Every issue of Lair magazine contains 2 to 3 adventures complete with maps for online play. You know, we also sprinkle in other stuff like puzzles and traps, which, let's be honest, both suck to have to make yourself. So, I mean, wouldn't you rather just become a DM Lair patron and pay me to write them for you? I mean, you know, my team and I, with our crayons? Now, if you love your wonderful players as much as I do, consider helping me to meet my sales quota by becoming a DM Lair patron today at the link below. You'll get a new issue of Lair magazine every month and other cool stuff like map packs and bonus adventures. Okay, that's it. Please become a DM Lair patron now or I will find you.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Welcome to the live stream. It's a new year. All right. Anyway, it's Q&A. We'll answer questions and stuff. That's basically what we're gonna do for the next few hours. We're gonna sit around. I'll answer your questions. Anything really is on the table. You can ask about D&D. You can ask about my personal. I don't know. I don't really care. I just like to talk with you all, folks. So whatever. Put your questions. My moderators are gonna be picking your questions up and throwing them into a spreadsheet, so you know you don't have to spam. All the questions will be there. If you have a burning question, a super chat will get that in front of my eyes right away, just so that you know. But I try to get as many as I can. I really do. But we'll just see how things go. I'm feeling kind of chill today, so I'm probably not gonna be trying to kill myself. So anyway, but that's it. Q&A today. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out with us. I gotta go through some sleazy plugs first, and then we'll get going. The very first thing that I want to let you guys know is that thanks to all of your guys' support and donations during our live streams over the last couple months or so, today we were able to make a $633 donation to Canines for Warriors. They are a charity that supports our veterans in the military. They help provide service dogs basically to them, folks that need them for maybe they're disabled, maybe they have other PTSD or other things they need help with, but they're the nation's largest provider of service dogs for our veterans. And today we were able to make a big donation to them, all because of your guys' support. Like, all that $633 came from you guys tipping in the live streams. I deeply appreciate that. And which also means that we have a new charity organization that we are supporting now as well. It is One More Child, and I'm going to go to their little landing page here and tell you a little bit about them. We're going to be raising money for these guys. So One More Child basically helps children and struggling families. They have several things that they do. It lists it all at the top of their webpage right here. But the big things that they do is they help with foster care, they help with orphanages, they help single mothers. And one of the big things that they do that I'm really supportive of, and this is actually how I heard about them originally, is that they are a big helper in anti-trafficking, so child trafficking, usually for the sex slave trade crap. They are a big organization that helps to get involved with that and help to stop that sort of thing. And that's how I first heard about them. So anyway, we're going to be raising $500 for these folks. All tips, 100% of all tips will go toward One More Child. If you would like to contribute to them, you may do so. There's a link down below. There's probably going to be a link in the chat as well where you can go and tip. And then once we get to $500, we're going to give a donation to One More Child, and then we'll pick a new charity and stuff. That's kind of what we do around here. We have a charity of choice that we just raise money for, and then when we get to our goal, we donate, and then we pick a new charity. So yeah, our new charity is One More Child. If you'd like to support, you're very welcome to. And if you don't want to, that's all good. It's all cool. We will get to our goal. I 100% guarantee you. And let's see, what's our other sleazy plug stuff we need to do in the morning? Oh, we have a giveaway going on. There is a giveaway. We have a giveaway every single live stream. There's a link down in the chat. One of my moderators will throw that up there. I have a cat already. You can see in this camera. Nope, over here on this side of the screen. She needs attention. I should probably move this camera a little bit. There we go. There we go. So this is what I have to do. I run the live stream with one hand, and then the other hand is down here petting my cat. So the giveaway link in the chat, you'll get a hard copy of Into the Fae, or we can give you store credit on the DM Lair store too. If you want something else, it's all good. So anyway, we'll draw the winner of that giveaway at the end of the stream today. You don't have to be present to win. You just got to go to the little linky thing and put some information in and stuff, and that's all. All right, cool. The last thing that we're gonna do before we kick things off with the full Q&A, and I'm really hungry too right now, so I'm gonna be complaining about how hungry I am the whole stream, I guarantee you. We are gonna thank our awesome patrons, yay! Okay, so all of these folks' names you see on stream here, I love these people. These are the people that, I crap you not, I literally swear to you, they're the ones that made it possible for me to go full-time and to now employ 2 full-time team members. I love my patrons to death. Their monthly support is invaluable to what we do around here. They help provide, like, they allow us to do the videos, obviously the weekly videos that we have, these live streams where I can answer your questions, all of the free content that goes on the dmlair.com, our premium content, which is Lair Magazine and the 5th edition adventures we create and the map packs. These folks here, their monthly support allows us to do the things that we do. I love them to death. Thank you so much, everybody here. And then these folks right here, they support at an even higher level. I read their names off on stream, every single stream, because they're especially awesome. So here we go. And I'm going to mispronounce half of these. That's the fun of it. 5e Magic Shop, Aaron J, Adam B, Alex, Alex S, Amanda W, Ambers, Andre U, Angelique K, Antoine B, Art Soccer, Arutha, Ashley, Ben B, Benjamin P, Burncastle, Brandon A, Caleb, Carl C, Chedeff, Chad K, Chris C, Christian V, Christine M B, Christopher G, Clay W, Coinslot, Colin W, Colin, I just called him Colin. See? Sorry, buddy. Contrary Gravy 7, Daniel S, Danny T, Dap, Daz was up, David S, Derek E, Doug, Duty K. Okay, keep moving. Dungeon of Terra, Dutch, Ed R, Edward L, Emfrabo, Endorian, Eric B, Aaron T, Fabian H, Flux Forest Brew, Gabriel T, Gallus, Gene A, Jeff R, Goliath Cleric, Gravy Chorn, Gregory H, Helen, Harlan S, Hell Tongue, HLD, Iron Cascade, Izzy T, Jace F, Jackie Pizza, Jake L, Jacob K, Jalenko, James L, James N, Jan F, Jason G, Jessica J, Jim P, JM, Joanne P, Joe E, John A, John H, John Pickanost, John V, Jonathan V, sorry Jonathan. You might not like John. It's that thing. Joseph H, Josh M, Josh S, Joshua R, Joshua W, Justin N, K, Keith L, Keith W, Kirby Curryclaw, Kyle M, Leonhardt, Linda, Lord Pablo, Luke Magna, Malton M, Manuel G, Mark K, Marty M, Matt B, Matthew J, Matthew C, Mew Pond, Mike S, Mirostal, Mitchell, Mo20s, Mr. Owl, Mr. Linkanu, Nerd with Glasses, Nezzy, Nomad, Old Mad Mage, O&D, Penguin Butt, Pork Chop Bacon, Prophet 2.0, Psycho John, Ramus, Randy B, Rebar, I like that name, Renner C, Robert J, Robin B, Ron R, Ryan, Sale S R, Sakura, Sam B, Scott V, Sean S, Shadow 1317, Shane L, Sheila A, Sim Fan, Snowy Tiggy, Son of a Sofa Man, Soul P, Soul Naya, Stephen T, Tactical Tokens, Taryn V, the old DM, the new bad Ombre, Thiago P, Thomas C, Thomas F, Tim B, Hey, you need a vowel in there, dude. I'm just saying. Traveling Cash, Travels the Lost, Tyler H, Tyler R, Undying Warlock, Valagor, Vladimir S, Walt O, Will P, WM, somewhere in there, W, William C, Worth a Lot, XX Redrum, Yule R, Zachary J, Zombie Tommy. Wee. All right, that was great. I got through that like a champ. I only called somebody a bad name once. All right, so let's do questions then. Nice. Yes, Mac Hasman. I did not forget the giveaway. I have had my coffee. I have coffee. You can't see it. I can't show it. Oh, wait, hold on a second. There you go. Wee coffee. I'm finishing up my coffee. After this, I go to tea though, because I've had all my coffee for today. All right, let's go to the questions in the sheet. What's your favorite game table size or shape? I like them big. I do not like circular game tables. I despise circular game tables. They don't give me enough space in my little quadrant of the circle to put my stuff up. They're just too crappy. I like square or rectangular tables that allow me to put all my junk up and have enough space, but still be able to reach the map and stuff. So usually what my setup that I have is, I think I have 2 5x3 tables, and that will give you like a 10x6. Let's do some simple math here, which is just barely adequate for my games. And what I have is, you can kind of see it on that back table right there, but I have a riser that literally is a platform that allows you to elevate your grid, and you put your grid on top of that riser on top of the table, which allows some space under the riser where people can slide their papers and pencils, and it just gives them a little bit more room, and then it elevates the entire grid up above so that you can see this stuff a little bit better. So I use that riser. I actually bought that not too long ago and haven't actually been able to use it myself, and we've been running one shots because my main at-home campaign is ended, and then some of my players are doing one shots themselves. They're the dungeon masters, or at least they're game masters. It's not D&D. They're the game masters for it. Those one shots are actually on this channel. You can watch some of them, and they're going to keep coming up on this channel. But they're running games right now, and so far none of them have needed to use the riser because they haven't used the minis at all. We were running Shadowrun, which you don't use minis for. You just do all theater of the mind, and so we didn't need to use it. So I actually have never used that stinking thing, but it's really cool, and I'm gonna use it. So anyway, my friend Trevor at his house, he had even bigger tables. He had like 6x4 tables, I believe. And then you put those together. I think they were 6x4. They were bigger than the ones I have, and that was really nice. But I couldn't find bigger ones than the ones I have, these 5x3s. So I don't know what the deal is. But anyway, it's adequate. It gets the job done. But if it were a little bit, I think if it were like a 6x8, something like that, I feel like that would probably be ideal. Have enough space to get everything. Anyway, there you go. Shadowcat has minis for Shadowrun. Okay, that's fair. My friend Joe is running it, and he said that you don't usually use minis. We didn't use minis. And you know what? I didn't feel like the lack of minis impacted the gameplay at all. Like it worked perfectly fine, and was no issues whatsoever. I have one player who ruined a mood set that had every almost in years. I don't know what that means. By making a bad joke, and it killed the vibe. I texted them about it, but they didn't respond. How do you handle jokers? I don't know. I'm pretty relaxed about people joking around about stuff in my games. Like, I run quote unquote serious games like Curse of Strahd, and they can be very challenging and stuff. But when you're running, like what I found is when you're running games like that, like players need to alleviate that tension a little bit and that like on the edge stuff by making jokes. And so they'll joke about things and make like, oh yeah, Strahd, da, 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 da. They'll joke about it, you know, out of character and stuff. And I've never found that has been an issue or killed the atmosphere or killed the vibe or anything like that. I've never had that issue. I don't mind it at all. I know what they're doing. I know that they're not making fun of my game, and I know that they're not mocking anything. They're literally like, I run challenging games, and so they're trying to lighten the atmosphere a little bit through joking about stuff, you know? And we laugh and we have fun. We can run serious games where things are taken seriously, but still joke about this stuff and laugh and have fun. Because, you know, otherwise we're gonna be all deadly serious the whole time. And why are we playing this game if we're just so serious, you know? So, I don't know. I don't mind jokers, you know, but I don't know how extreme it is. All you can do is talk to them, you know, and see what's going on and explain how it made you feel and how it may have impacted the gameplay and stuff. But I would also encourage you as well to try to examine it through a different lens as well, and ask yourself, was it really that big of a deal objectively, or did it just rub me the wrong way? Or is it actually a really serious thing that's constantly going on that's destroying the game? I mean, so because sometimes there's something that rubs us the wrong way and we might get upset in the moment, but then after we calm down and we think about it objectively, I'll be like, Luke, you come on, man, chill out, dude, chill out. It wasn't that big of a deal. You need to calm down. So I don't know. There's some thoughts for you. Would you ever buy a dedicated gaming table such as these two that you mentioned here? No, never. I have seen dedicated gaming tables. The only one that I've seen that was a dedicated gaming table was way too small. I'm like, that's not big enough for my needs. First of all, not big enough for my needs. And the thing with a dedicated gaming table, it's like they look really nice and they're wood and all this kind of stuff, but like, do I need that? Like, is that gonna make my game any better? Like, I mean, maybe if I were really concerned about the appearance of my basement here and like having this beautiful, nice wooden, like, could I afford one? Probably. I don't know how much they cost, probably $1,000, $2,000 or something. But like, do I want to spend my money on that? Or like I have like little plastic folding tables, from Menards. I have 2 plastic folding tables from Menards and that riser. Now that riser cost me like $125 or $150, I believe. The 2 folding tables I have from Menards that I set up, and you can watch our videos on this channel where we play, I think cost me a total of $100. I think they were about $50 each. And so I have $250 roughly into my table, and I have 2 plastic folding tables that are very portable and I can get them out of the way. Like, they're usually set up right there, and I unfold them and put them to the side, so I'm taking my whole basement. So I have things that are very portable, very inexpensive, and it works just perfectly fine. They're plastic tables, so I don't have to worry about players and their cups getting like wooden stain rings and stuff. I don't have to worry about them getting scratched, So it's like, I don't see the need to have like something fancy that has cup holders and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if I wanted my basement to look really nice and all fancy, sure. And I'm not knocking people who buy those. I'm just simply saying that I personally don't feel a need for that. I've never been compelled to want one of these fancy tables, and sometimes I've seen the fancy tables. I'm like, that's too small. It's too small. That's not going to work. It's and it has all these problems. Like, the play area is depressed. It's down lower than I would want. I want it higher. I actually want the place where you put the minis. I don't want it to be lower than the table. I want it to be higher than the table so I can see the minis and get at them easier. And sometimes the tables are too low, so I'm trying to slide under it with my chair, and it's like hitting my legs, and I'm just like, I know I'm a little chunky, but my legs are like not that big, Or the cup holder will be like right over your thigh, and the metal thing is banging your thigh, and I'm just like, come on, man, this is what, dude? So no, I've never been, for a variety of reasons, I've never really been compelled to worry about those types of custom tables and stuff, they look cool. I'm sure that there are models of them that would suit my needs, but I've never had a big compelling desire to get a nice fancy wooden gaming table. What were your thoughts on Hackmaster after the short game you all ran? I liked Hackmaster. I thought it was interesting. I didn't really understand most of what I was doing. For me, I was playing a normal like fantasy RPG game, and I was telling the game master, what do they call it? I don't know what they call the game master and Hackmaster. They might have a special name. I'm not sure. But I would just say, okay, I want to go up to this guy and I want to like hit him or attack him, and then he would just tell us what to do. And he did explain mechanics, like how the rounds work. And like basically every second something happens in the round of combat, which I thought was very interesting. But I didn't understand every little thing. I was just telling him, and he would tell me what to roll, and I would roll things. You know what I mean? So, and then there was a lot of looking things up in the book. Like Hackmaster's rules are very, very crunchy. And so there were lots of times when things were, and Alex, who was the game master running our Hackmaster game, has a crazy memory. Like, I don't know how this guy remembers. He has like tons of different game systems, and he has like an encyclopedic memory of the rules in the game systems. It was crazy. And so he remembered tons of things about like the Hackmaster game. But even then, he was still, there was just so many tables, and he's constantly, I don't think he was constantly looking things up, but like he would have to look things up from time to time for sure, because there were lots of different tables in there, you know. I didn't mind it because I was experiencing a new system. That's the thing. I'm like, okay, let's experience the system. Let's see what it's all about. Oh, we got a critical failure. Oh, geez, what the heck's gonna happen? And then you're waiting for like a minute while he flips through a book and finds the table. And you're like, oh crap, what's gonna happen? You know, and there's this tension and this drama, and then it's like, oh, this thing happened, you know. So I thought it was interesting and cool. Would I want to play that instead of my normal games? The combat system I thought was interesting, but it got a little like, I don't know that over a long-term play, I'm not sure that I would want to keep playing that combat system. The way that they, every round, every second, you know, something happens and you're moving or you're attacking and I don't know. There was something, at first it was very novel and I really liked it. I thought it was cool. I think by our second or third game session, by our last game session, I was kind of like, this combat system, I don't know if this is like my jam, you know, like something I'd want to like do, like, you know, constantly all the time. It was kind of like as a palate cleanser to do something different. It was like, oh, this is cool. Let's experience something new. And I love experiencing new game systems because it gives me ideas and just helps me to think about things, you know, and because you know, when you're exposed to new and different ideas, it really helps you to become more well-rounded, but also have more creativity and ideas for the things that you normally do, you know. So like my normal 5e games, it's like, well, sometimes I might be dissatisfied with something and want to do something different. But if I haven't been exposed to other ideas and thoughts and processes and game systems, then it's hard to be creative in a vacuum many times. But if I have all these other thoughts and experiences from different things, I can be like, oh, I remember this game did that, and and then I might have an idea. And so I think there's a lot of value in that, and I like that. All right, the Barbarian has a word for you.
Hi, Barbarian here. Did you see my last sleazy plug? You know, the one where I talked about Lair magazine and tried to convince you to become a DM Lair patron? Yeah, well, I'm not gonna do all that work over again, so could you just go rewatch that plug and then, you know, become a DM Lair patron at the link below? Please, you know, just don't make me threaten you with my axe. My doctor tells me I gotta, you know, keep my blood pressure under control. Thank you.
Oh, geez, that was short. Oh, that was short. The Barbarian didn't want to talk very long. All right, running a campaign. Okay, question. Running a campaign for a group of new players as a first-time DM myself. Ooh, that'll be fun. At what level or metric would you go from easy encounters and ramp up the difficulty? You're new and they're new. I would say this is hard for me to answer a little bit because I can talk from the point of what an experienced game master would do for new players. It's harder for me to address the question of what a new game master would do for new players because I'm not a new game master. And so it's a different lens for me to look through, which makes it, I think, a little bit more challenging. I would definitely say that if they're new players, wait to ramp up difficulty. Keep things easy, especially if they're like levels 1, 2, and 3. Keep things easy. If they're new players, they're not used to working together as a team. They're not used to the combat system. They're not used to their options. They're not used to their spells. They're not used to what they can do. Their tactics are not going to be that great. They're probably not going to understand how things work. You know, they might have experience in like video games or other things, but that doesn't always transfer exactly to D&D. And, you know, you're a new game master too. And so, you know, things are going to, and I think from a new game master too, since the system's less familiar to you and you're not maybe sure how challenging things could or could not be, I would say veer on the side of caution and have things be easy, and then as you gauge things and as you get a feel for how the players are doing and as they get a feel for how the game is doing, then you can feel free to ramp up the difficulty slowly, little by little, you know. And I think that's, you play it by gut and you play it by feel as you go along to see how your players are doing, how their characters are doing, and how you're doing. And as you get more comfortable with it, then you start to ratchet it up a little bit and see how things go. But just do it slowly. Do it slowly. There's no rush. There's no reason to rush, you know, and go crazy all of a sudden on it. And if you have a bunch of stuff that you plan that is planned to be easy, and then you can see that they need more of a challenge, well, you can go tweak those things. That's not that hard, you know. There's not a lot of effort in tweaking some encounters and making these a little bit more challenging. So that would be my recommended approach for you, to make sure, because you know it's like, I run challenging games and there are many people drop to 0 hit points all the time. Occasionally there's a death. Now, of course, 5th edition death is pointless and meaningless and people just get raised from the dead. But occasionally somebody actually dies for real and is unrecoverable. Sometimes that happens. Almost never in 5th edition because of the way the game is set up. And sometimes there's actually a TPK, right? Now, I feel like there's a time and a place for all of those things. And I certainly do those in my games, but would I recommend that sort of gritty, challenging play for new players starting out and a new dungeon master? I don't know. It depends on what people want in the game and what they're looking for. I mean, if your players all really want that, then maybe you give it to them. But word of caution, because I have heard stories from game masters who have told me, you know, they'd say, Luke, my players all wanted a really gritty, challenging game, and so I gave them a really gritty, challenging game, and they hated it and they quit. And that campaign died. And I was like, right, because sometimes somebody will tell you that they want a cheeseburger, and then they throw that cheeseburger at your face, and because they didn't want the cheeseburger. Sometimes people don't actually know what they want. Sometimes the idea or the concept of something is appealing to a person, but the reality of it is not appealing, you know. Like for instance, like some people are all excited, like, you know, you might be excited to go to war or something. I've actually began watching All Quiet on the Western Front, and the very beginning of the movie, the young recruits are all excited for combat. They're all excited to go to war. They're all like, woo! And then they get there and they learn about the realities of war, per what the movie was portraying, and they're all just like, wow, get me out of here. This is not what I wanted, you know, because they had this idealized thought of it, and the reality of it was like, whoa, not what I want. So sometimes your players might have that thought too of what they want in the game, but then it turns out that that's not actually the idea, the theory of it, the concept of it was like, wow, but then the reality of it was like, no. So just keep that in mind too, as well. How do you handle damage rolls for improvised weapons like throwing a chair, smacking with a mug, dropping a hay barrel on their head? It's literally, it's improvised. I think of the closest equivalent to it, and I make it something you're not proficient with. So if you want to smack somebody with a chair, that's probably equivalent to a club, only you're not proficient with it. And why are you not proficient with it? Because I am assuming that you don't spend several days, weeks, and months training with chairs. You're probably training with clubs. Well, a chair is not quite a club. Like, it's kind of like if let's pretend that I'm proficient with quarterstaffs, right? And I'm just like, quarterstaffs. And then you give me a metal lamp, like one of those tall lamps that are in your living room made out of metal or wood or something. And it's like about the same size and weight and everything, but it's not the exact same thing as a quarterstaff. It's got a cord that drags from it. It's got the ends that throw it off balance a little bit. You know, the bottom of it is heavier than the top of it. So it's like similar to a quarterstaff, but it's not the same thing. It's not perfectly balanced and made for combat. It's an improvised weapon. So you're not going to be proficient with an improvised weapon. So you don't add your proficiency bonus to the attack roll, first of all. But then you basically try to say, okay, this lampstand is close to a quarterstaff. So we're going to call it a quarterstaff. It does 1d6 damage, but you don't add your proficiency bonus to it. You will add your strength bonus to like attack rolls with it because you're still using your strength behind it. So you essentially find the closest equivalent to whatever it is you're improvising. Like if I pick up this mug and I'm gonna smoke you with this mug, this is probably, gosh, what would I say this is? This is probably a dagger, only it does bludgeoning damage. That'd be my guess. So I'd say this is like 1d4 bludgeoning damage, and I am not proficient with this because as I hit you with this, it's twisting in my hand perhaps, or I'm hitting you with like a suboptimal striking point or something. I don't know, but you're not proficient with it. But it's probably close to a dagger in damage, so 1d4, but it's bludgeoning, right? Because it's a mug. It doesn't have a sharp pointy thing on it, you know? If they pick something up like, I'm gonna hit them with this little tiny cell phone, you're like, well, you know what? That's probably just gonna do 1 point of damage, plus your strength modifier, minimum of 1 damage. This is too small for really to do anything, you know, meaningful, because it's just so small. So you make your gut best estimation is what you do for that sort of thing as you go. I'm a new dungeon master and aren't very good with coming up with great descriptions on the fly. I describe random objects from a randomizer every day. Do you have tips for other exercises? Oh, so you literally have a randomizer that throws objects at you and then you just practice describing them. That's good. That's a huge good first start. Good gravy. This cat, it's just like, give me the attention now. Let's go. I think the thing I think that's helped me a lot with my descriptions are reading books. I don't know if audiobooks help with this as well. They might, but reading books has been very influential for me in seeing how an author describes stuff with descriptive language. So the books that I grew up on and that got me involved in this hobby were the books that R.A. Salvatore wrote. They have Drizzt and Wulfgar and Bruenor and Regis and Canterbury, all of those, the classic cast of characters. Those are the books I grew up on from middle school and on. And I literally am finishing one of the books in that massive series of his. I'm finishing up The Pirate King right now, and there are lots of other books in that's like a never-ending series of books. And I think I might take a break from reading that series right now because I don't feel like there's a cohesive plot anymore. It feels like there's nothing really going on of interest, but there's still a need to write books in that series, and it doesn't capture that same like that it had previously. So as soon as Salvatore started dealing with the orc invasion around Mithril Hall, things, I feel like they're like some of the grand like adventuring feel, the heart, there was just something that was kind of like meh about it at that point, and it hasn't come back and it hasn't captured me yet. And so I think I'm gonna pause that series and I'm gonna move on to some other stuff because I haven't bought any of the books after The Pirate King either. So it just happens that the series is sputtering out, it feels like. And so it's like, oh, I haven't bought any of the books, so I lose nothing by not reading anymore. And I'm gonna read some other stuff. But anyway, my point is that especially his early books, you know, there was like the Crystal Shard, there's the Streams of Silver, which is the one that I read to death when I was a young kid, and then the Halfling's Gem, and then obviously Homeland, Sojourn, and then in between there is Exile, I believe. All of those, especially the very early books that R.A. Salvatore did, are just spectacular. Oh my gosh, they're so amazing. And then some of his later books are really, really good too. But then there are some that aren't. But anyway, my point is that those books have amazing description in them, especially of combat and stuff. And so I really like those books for the combat descriptions. And then there are other books too that I've read that will help you with other types of descriptions and stuff as well. But my point, I'm big tangent on R.A. Salvatore stuff. My point is that reading books, I think, and seeing how authors do descriptions, I think is very helpful as well. because and then I think the exercise too is not just reading it, but envisioning it and imagining it in your imagination, in your mind's eye, you know, and seeing it and really seeing it. Because what I do when I'm at the game table and I have to describe a scene to my players, most of the time I don't have read aloud text. I might have some bullet points or something, but sometimes I have things written down in advance that I might just read to the players. But many other times I only have a couple bullet points and then I'm making up the description as I go. And it especially happens when the players look at something or investigate something that you hadn't planned in advance. Then you have to make it up on the fly. But my technique of what I do is I envision the thing that I'm going to describe in my mind. You know, there's an orc and he has saliva dripping down from his teeth and the tusks are sticking out and there's a little bit of blood smashed across his face. His nose is a little bit crooked and he has stringy hair coming down from his head and he's gripping his axe. His knuckles are turning white and a growl escapes from him as he hunches over eagerly towards you. And I'm literally seeing this, you know, and I'm using an improvisational technique of adding to it. So first I thought about the drool. Okay, after the drool were the fangs. Okay, cool. Oh, and then there's blood on his nose. Oh, it's smeared from his nose. Why is it smeared from his nose? Oh, it got bent or crooked. Okay, cool, that's great. His hair, and then oh, his hair is stringy. Okay, cool. Oh, my hands were right here. And so he's gripping an axe, and then he's gripping the axe and his knuckles are turning white. And why is he gripping the axe? Because he's angry and he's gonna attack, so he's leaning forward, and then he growls because you growl. So I'm literally adding as I go. I don't think about that whole scene in advance and then tell you it. I literally start with one thing, I add another, and then I add another, and I add another, and I'm just making it all up as I go because I'm envisioning it and I'm creating along the way. It's just improvisation where you're like, yes, and. But you don't invent it up front all the time, especially when you're improvising. You have to just invent it as you go and you just add to it. And you accept the thought, you accept the idea, you present it, and then that's what it is, you know? So that's the technique that I use in the moment. As far as you had your practice thing, I think that's a good idea. Maybe try reading books and stuff. I don't think I have any other thoughts that necessarily come up to my mind for you right now, though. Oh, you know what? You know, Zach, one of the reasons our timestamps are sometimes off is that I will answer a question and then I click the button that, like right now, I read that question, I answered it, and then I click the button in our spreadsheet for was it answered. And that's why our timestamps are off a lot of times. Because I don't always click the button at the beginning of the question. So there you go. I've read the Dragon Riders of Pern, Chris. When I was in, I think it was middle school. Here's a story for you. Oh yes, I see a question about the closed gaming license. We can talk about that. I'm happy to talk about that, but I'm not gonna give you doom and gloom and try to get clicks on my videos like everybody else is doing. So, well, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm an optimistic person at heart. I believe the best and hope for the best and keep my thoughts fixed on the best and on positive stuff. I do not go around thinking about negativity and doom and gloom. I can't live there. I can't live in that headspace. It's too bleak and depressing and horrible. So I keep my thoughts fixed on optimism, and then I think about some of this stuff, and then I have like little game plans that form for problem solving. And then when something bad happens, then it's like problem solve and figure it out, you know. But most things in the world, most things that come up aren't as bad as people fear them to be. Like it's kind of like, I don't forget who, some famous person, I think it might have been a president or something, once said that the only thing to fear is fear itself. You know, and then I think it might have been Mark Twain who said something about fear as well. There was a quote or something that I heard once that people like they live through a whole lot of troubles in their lives. People experience a whole lot of troubles in their lives, none of which come to pass. I think it was Mark Twain, and the quote was something like that. But the idea is that many times in our lives, like, we envision and think of all of these horrible things and these troubles and these bad things, and we experience them and we suffer them, but they never happen. And we suffer because in here, we're living in those troubles and we're envisioning those troubles and we're worrying about those troubles, all of these horrible things, right? And it's all in here and it's all in here, and we're living and we're suffering. And then the thing that we lived and suffered never happens. It was just a fear. It was an anxiety. It was something that we had that never came to fruition, but we worried and struggled and suffered because of it, because we were afraid of it, because we feared about it, I think it was Mark Twain. Oh, there we go. Raven's Path. Thank you. Who was that from? Is it Mark Twain? I think it was, but I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened. Exactly. That's the quote. Thank you. Anyway, so yeah, I don't worry about things until it actually happens. And then usually you just figure out the problem, you analyze it, you figure out a solution, you implement the solution, and usually it's not that bad and you can figure it out. So I don't get too worried about this sort of stuff. It was Mark Twain. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a second. Did you play any of the D&D board games like Legend of Drizzt or Adventure Begins? I'm not from with Adventure Begins. Legend of Drizzt. I don't think I played that one. I think I played what are the other ones? What is it? Wrath of a Chardalon, I think might have been the one I played. I played it once. I played it once I was actually at a gaming convention. So one of the gaming conventions that I go to, sorry, I got my eyes going crazy on me right now. It's probably gonna start turning red and like watering and burning. So that'll be fun. That'll be a fun moment in the live stream where I'm like this and my eyes all red. So that'll probably happen here in about 5 minutes. What happens is like, I'm stupid is what was the reason this happens to me, but I have acne problems. And so I have like acne medication, and I'll put the acne medication on my face, right, with my fingers. And then because I'm intelligent, I will put my finger in my eye and rub up my eye just randomly, but there's still medication on my finger. And so I'm literally putting this stuff in my eye, and then my eye burns for like 5 minutes. So, I'm stupid is why this happens. But anyway, that might happen here, and we'll all laugh at me and it'll be fun. So I played the game. I went to a convention. One of the conventions I go to every year is Grand Con. It is in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm there every single year. So if you want to come to a convention and hang out with me and stuff, you can come to Grand Con and come up and say hi, and then we can play games and stuff. I'm sure I'll have some time. At the very least, we could just hang out and talk for a little bit. But anyway, I'm at Grand Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan every single year. And I think actually this next year, I've talked with the organizer and stuff, Brian, and he I was invited to be like a guest there, and I'm going to be doing some stuff. I'm going to be running some games. I think I'm going to be on a panel or two or something, and stuff. So I'm going to be helping the convention as well. And they're going to put me up at a 4-star hotel that's like right next door or something. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I like that. What was I gonna say? Oh, so I'll be there. I'll definitely be there next year. I think it's around September or October every year, but you can literally go to Grand Con. It's Grand Con. It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And what was it? I was a big tangent. What I was trying to tell you is that I was there this last year, but because I'm a moron, I think we just talked about how I'm a moron sometimes. I signed up for the convention at the last minute, got my pass at the last minute, and because I heard about it like a month. I think I was actually talking to Brian, and because of the whole pandemic thing, he wasn't even sure if they were going to have it this last year, and they were able to, and he only had, I think, a few months to organize the entire convention. And so I didn't hear about it until like a little bit beforehand.
And then I signed up for it and got my pass and stuff. But by the time I bought my pass, I think I bought my pass like a week before the convention. Because again, I'm smart. Which means that most of the games had been signed up for. And there were very few games that I could even play in. And so I went to the convention, and probably half of the time I didn't have a game to play in, and I had nothing to do, and I was there by myself. And so I was kind of bored and I didn't know what to do. And so I was grabbing games off from, they have like where you can just grab games and board games basically, and then just play board games. And I would grab a board game, and I would most of them are games I had never played before, and so I would literally sit down and I would start reading the game and learning how to play the game. And there's a little thing that you can put up that tells people that you're looking for players, and then random people can come and be like, hey, I want to play. Okay, cool, let's play. And so I was learning games and then waiting for people to join me, and then when someone joined me, I would play the game with them. I played a couple games that way, and one of the games that I did that for was, I believe it was Wrath of Ashardalon. If it wasn't Wrath of Ashardalon, it was one of the similar games just like it. Like Wizards has put out like maybe 4 or 5 different board games that are basically have the exact same rules and stuff. They just have different names and different minis and stuff in them. The rules I think are pretty much the same, or they're very similar. So I learned one of those and I played one of those. I had one person that came and played the game with me. I played one game by myself so I could learn it, and then by the time I finished, somebody else came and I played with them. So I did play it once. I thought it was cool. I didn't really have any major like criticisms of it. I would rather play an actual role-playing game, like if I can play Hackmaster or Shadowrun or Call of Cthulhu, or Pathfinder, I would much rather play a tabletop role-playing game as opposed to one of those board games. But I thought the board game was good. It was fine. It wasn't like, I'm not gonna like stop playing my tabletop games to play that board game by any stretch of the imagination, but it was still cool. I didn't mind it, yeah. See, you asked me a simple question and you got like a 15-minute response that like meandered all over everything. What are your thoughts on Shadowrun? So we played a one-shot of Shadowrun. There were 2 game sessions, and I feel like it was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked learning about it. My biggest criticism, and take this with a grain of salt, and I'm going to explain why, is that the game felt really slow. It felt so slow. Like, especially when we were in combat, the game just dragged on. Like, it took forever. And I feel like one of the reasons that it went slow is that the players had two of the players were experienced in Shadowrun and knew what they were doing for the most part. One of them, Alex, was just like an encyclopedia of Shadowrun. And the other player, Kevin, had played before and knew what he was doing. I was brand new, and then the other player was brand new. And then our game master, who was running it, had run lots of Shadowrun before, but it had been a while since they'd run it last. And so I think they were a little rusty on it as well. And so I feel like it's hard to tell if Shadowrun in general is a slow game like that, or if it's just because we had a couple new players and the game master hadn't run the game in a while, and so some of the rules were a little fuzzy and there was more time looking stuff up in the book and and that sort of thing. And that's not a knock against our game master at all. Joe's amazing, right? And the game was tons of fun, but the game did feel like it was slow, and I don't know if that is a fault of the game itself. I feel like some of it is because of the complexity of some of the rules and stuff, or if it's more just that we were a little rusty, and it just took longer because of that. But it did feel like it was a little bit slow, and so I did feel like there were like I could basically and you can't always do this in a game. Sometimes you do this in a game and you get in trouble. And I've gotten in trouble in a game before doing this, where I basically stop paying attention and I go do something else, or my brain is somewhere else, and then I come back and it's my turn and I do something really stupid and I pay the price for it because I wasn't paying attention. But in Shadowrun, my brain was constantly wandering because of the gameplay seemed to be really slow, and so especially in combat, the gameplay was slow enough that I felt that I didn't have to really pay attention because things took so long. It's kind of like, if anybody's ever watched, I've heard this said about like US soap operas. Like soap operas in the United States are, first of all, they're horrible. But the second thing, because I've watched Colombian soap operas, by the way. Telenovelas from Colombia are amazing. They're so well produced. They're just, oh gosh, they're so good. It doesn't even feel like a soap opera. They're really good. Anyway, that's not the point. The US ones are abysmal. But what I've heard is that, I think my mom might have told me this, is that you can basically stop watching a US soap opera for like years, come back and get caught up in a half an hour because almost nothing has changed or happened over the course of years. It's like, oh, that person went to jail. Okay, cool. And that doctor got killed. All right, cool. And they cheated on them. And then, okay. And then they got divorced and married. Okay. All right. I'm caught up. I know everything that's happened in the last 3 years of that soap opera because it just goes so slow. And I don't think Shadowrun was that slow, but I'm just kind of saying that it was like, I could let my mind wander a little bit. And I didn't miss out on stuff that happened because it was taking so long to do stuff. You know what I mean? If that makes sense at all. So I didn't. Now in Hackmaster, I couldn't do that. In Hackmaster, you had to pay attention. If you weren't paying attention, you get lost, and then things are done, and you're like, whoa, I'm lost. Because like, you know, as a player, I don't want to be the player who doesn't pay attention and then is lost and then slows the game down, because that's not good. You know, in Hackmaster, you got to pay attention. Shadowrun, I felt like you could just kind of like let your mind wander and it didn't affect anything, you know? So anyway, but I liked the concept. I think there was a lot of cool things about it. There's a lot of very, very interesting stuff about it. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game. I had fun playing the game. Like I said, my only criticism is it felt slow, is the only thing. But I don't think that was necessarily 100% of the fault of the game. I think it was on us too, because of the circumstances I previously described. Oh. All right. I'm gonna go get a fill up. Watch the Barbarian.
Hi, Barbarian here. Are you enjoying this content? Would you like to have me guilt trip you really quick? Because here's the thing. My team and I work really hard to create all this content. The videos, the stupid shorts, the TikTok garbage, these Q&A live streams, the adventure creation live streams, all of the stuff, all of the free Dungeon Master resources on the DMLair.com and Lair magazine, which is just amazing and beautiful. Anyway, here's the problem. My team doesn't work for free, and Mrs. Barbarian always wants me to take her out to eat, like every single day almost. And I mean, I like Olive Garden and Texas Roadhouse, but all of those margaritas get really expensive. And you know, if I don't pay the people on my team, they just kind of stop working. I don't get it. Anyway, here's how you can help me help you. Basically, you can just take a whole bunch of cash, you know, put it into an envelope and mail it. No, wait, hold on. Let me think about that. No, you know what? This is the 21st century. Just give me your credit card number. Okay, forget all of that. My lawyers have advised me to instead request that you become DM Lair patrons at the link below. I mean, it still allows you to send me money, but it's legal and you get cool stuff in return. For instance, every month you'll get a new issue of Lair magazine, which contains tons of Dungeon Master resources like adventures, puzzles, traps, monsters, magic items, and more. You see, I'm not just asking for a handout, which is what a lot of people do with their Patreons. I'm actually going to give you stuff in return. So yeah, just, you know, kind of click that link below and become a DM Lair patron, you know, so I can stop putting my foot in my mouth. Thank you.
Oh, come on, baby. All right. I'm getting my tea all set here. Whee. Oh, see, I forgot to click the button, so I'm clicking the button now. My thoughts on Shadowrun. You know, whoever's in the spreadsheet, when you hear me start answering a question, you should go click the button, because I keep forgetting to click the button. I'm bad at this. I've been doing this for years and I still can't figure it out. How is your preparation for Pathfinder 2nd edition going? Really well. I love the Pathfinder 2nd edition rules. I'll be honest, I started the character creation options are spectacular and amazing. Like, oh my gosh, if you want to create an amazing character in Pathfinder 2nd edition, you can. It's just like, oh my goodness. Like 5th edition, it's kind of like, once you just choose to be a fighter and you're a champion, that's it. The choices are over, kind of, you know, because it's just so like, there are no choices, kind of, you know. But in Pathfinder 2nd edition, there's so many different choices and feats and things you can do. It's just really, really cool and interesting. But because there are so many options, I didn't really read all of the character options, because as a dungeon master or game master, you know, I needed to get to the dungeon master rules so that I could learn those and start planning out my campaign and my adventures and stuff like that. I'll have to look at those things eventually and read through them and get more like, you know, detail oriented about those, because I need to know those. I do need to know those rules. That wasn't my priority. So those were really cool. Those impressed me a lot. So right now I've kind of finished mostly reading through the rules, and because I had enough of a familiarity with things to feel confident in actually being able to begin prepping stuff. And so now what I'm doing is I'm fleshing out Eberron, the setting of Eberron. Our campaign is going to take place in the Mirar Holds. That's what I'm doing. I'm running an Eberron game using Pathfinder 2nd edition rules. And so there'll probably be some interesting like stuff I'll have to translate and figure out based upon that, but I'm not too worried about it. So I'm fleshing out the Mirar Holds and different things about that. I'm working on the starting town that they're going to start in and details around that. I already have ideas for a couple adventures that I've fleshed out. I haven't fleshed the adventures out yet. I have some very high level details about them, and now I need to flesh them out more and stuff. I've already did my campaign pitch to my players. My players all liked the campaign pitch that I sent them. Actually, you know what? Maybe let me see if I can find the campaign pitch. This is what I sent. I'll show you the campaign pitch that I sent them. You might be interested, because I'm literally starting a new campaign, so it might be of interest to folks how I went about starting a new campaign to get my players, you know, hooked and get their buy-in and stuff, so that they would get excited about it and want to run the campaign as well. And so let me find, where did I put that? Oh, I put it in OneNote. Hold on. Yeah, it must be in OneNote. Let me get my OneNote up. Let me find it for you. Stand by. Ron. So if you're playing in my Eberron game, you should not watch this right now, because it's going to ruin things. All right, let me get to the screen over here. Okay, well, let me find. So this is my Eberron Pathfinder 2.0 campaign right here. Okay, here we go. Here's the overview. This was basically the pitch that I shared with my players right here. I'm gonna try to get this a little bit bigger so we can read it. Your patron is House Kundarak, one of the 12 dwarven clans of Mirar Holds, and also one of the powerful Dragon March houses. I emailed this to them as my campaign pitch, right? As a potential thing that we could do for our game, and it's called Thieves Abound. One of the powerful Dragon March houses, providing security and banking services all across Corvair. Recently, the Iron Council, the ruling council of the Mirar Holds, upon which each dwarven clan has a representative, has become troubled by a series of attempted and successful robberies occurring throughout the Mirar Holds. Thus, the Iron Council issued a unanimous edict, a rare occurrence indeed, that each dwarven clan was to vigorously investigate and put an end to the robberies occurring in its own hold. Oops, that was too much. However, House Kundarak, who is officially only an observer on the Iron Council, but holds sway from the shadows, suspects that another of the dwarven clans, or perhaps the Jarashtar orcs, is likely behind the robberies. You see, historically, the clans of Mirar Holds have participated in squabbling, feuds, and conflicts to no end, and House Kundarak, who has always remained as neutral as possible, simply cannot trust the Iron Council nor the individual clans to resolve the matter successfully. Furthermore, and most concerning for your patron, House Kundarak's magically and mechanically secured vaults have also been targeted. Though, of course, none of the robbery attempts were successful, thankfully. Imagine the blow to the house's reputation as a premier banker and security specialist if they had been. At any rate, this is where your adventuring party comes in. Having been newly commissioned and onboarded by House Kundarak, you have not been established as known agents of the house. Furthermore, none of you are dwarves. These two elements, and the untapped potential your patron sees in you, will allow you to travel and investigate and poke your noses where known agents of House Kundarak and dwarves, who the other clans would immediately view with suspicion, would not otherwise be able to go. Thus, your wealthy patron has commissioned your adventuring group to follow the breadcrumbs of these robberies, see where they lead, and resolve the matter using whatever means are necessary. And then I had some bullet points of the campaign features. Subterfuge, as you navigate the various dwarven holds and investigate the robberies, maintaining the secrecy of your true nature as agents of House Kundarak. This presents the opportunity. Oh, my cat. Squeaky, come on. He's stepping on my keyboard. This presents the opportunity of working for the other dwarven clans as double agents if desired, since many are requesting the aid of adventurers for a variety of matters, including that of the robberies. Dungeon delving as a main feature. So I'm laying out for them what the campaign would look like, what they would be doing potentially, to see if it appeals to them. Dungeon delving as a main feature. The dwarven holds have surface structures, but all stretch in the depths below as well. Furthermore, there is an entire realm below that perhaps awaits. I would not characterize this as a mega dungeon by any means, but rather lots of separate dungeons to be explored and overcome. And I use dungeons in quotes just as a generic term that we can describe them as. Much overland travel and time on the surface will be involved too, as the group likely travels from one area to another following leads. Exploration of the Marar holds as a main feature. The campaign will likely take you across the breadth and depth of the dwarven-held territory of Corvair. Exploration of the rest of Corvair as a minor feature. Now, Corvair is the continent, the entire continent, which is very, very large. The campaign will sometimes take you to other areas of Corvair for a change of pace and to experience the other cool things that are out there. Politics as a minor feature. Some politics would come into play, as many dwarven clans constantly feud, and you would be navigating the various clans. However, politics in this campaign would be lightweight. Right and wrong. As agents of House Kundarak, you are considered above any local law, at least as far as your patron is concerned. You have been commissioned to get results, using any means necessary, and in your patron's eyes, the end always justifies the means. Always. So we're going to head into potentially a morally ambiguous campaign, is what I'm trying to say here. Not necessarily the goody two-shoes campaign. Level range. The campaign would begin at level 1 and likely take the group to level 20. Restriction. You cannot be a dwarf. So part of the campaign premise. And then I have a bunch of my own notes that I made as well of stuff going on behind the scenes that I obviously did not email, did not share to my players. And so my point of just sharing that is that was the campaign pitch. So I had an idea of what I wanted to do in the campaign, but I wanted to pitch to my players. I wanted to say, hey guys, this is what I'm thinking. So I took like some time and wrote that up, and to show them this is what the campaign will be about. These are the main features. What do you guys think? Does this appeal to you? Et cetera, et cetera. And so I had five players. 3 of them responded and were like, yes, let's go. 2 of them said nothing. So it's like, okay, silence is acceptance, right? That's what we do because not everybody is going to respond. So, and that's where we're going to go. We're going to go with that. And now I've begun preparing and planning that out. And so I'm developing adventures for points of interest. Like I said, I have to develop out the entire starter town. And so I've begun working on that. So I'll show you some of the stuff. The starter town, this is like a little table I made to keep track of the dwarven clans and the feuding and stuff that goes on with all of them. And then I have some of the notable cities and landmarks that are in the Marar holds. And then this is the starter town. The starter town is Frostmantle. And so I've begun fleshing out a lot of the details about Frostmantle as well, because they're going to be there and start there, and probably that's going to be the hub. I'm envisioning that as the hub of their investigations. The way that I'm going to guarantee that is because you never know what players are going to want to do, but their contact for House Kundarak is going to be there. So their patron has the contact there, and they're always going to have to return to that contact to get like some more information, their next assignment, or to report in on stuff, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm baking that into the design so that I know that this can function as the hub of the adventure. And since I'm fairly confident that that will work as planned, because my players are good, decent human beings and don't seek to screw me over. you know, they have fun in other ways besides screwing over their game master. I'm fleshing out a lot of the stuff in this town because I'm pretty confident that it's going to work as my hub. So yeah, I've begun working on a lot of this stuff, and then I have nothing done there pretty much. So yeah, that's pretty much my campaign planning so far. But it's getting pretty deep. Like I mean, with the information I currently have, I mean, I could run a game session pretty quickly, you know, if it came to it. But I have I think 2 other players that are gonna run one shots for us. Yeah, Kevin's gonna run a one shot. He's gonna run. What is he running? He's running a one shot for us. Savage Worlds. Yes, he's gonna run a Savage Worlds one shot for us. That's gonna be our next game session. That'll take probably a couple game sessions at least, I would imagine. And then after Savage Worlds, Trevor is going to run a Pathfinder one shot for us. Pathfinder 2.0 one shot for us too. That'll kind of be, because none of us, I don't think any of us have played Pathfinder 2.0 before. And so, because we're all just buying the books and learning stuff. And so Trevor's one shot for Pathfinder 2.0, he's the game master for it, is kind of going to be like our introduction to the rules and actually using the rules in a one shot before we start like the actual full-blown campaign. So anyway, that's kind of our plan, what we're doing. And then I'll begin my Thieves Abound campaign as well. So it'll be tons of fun. I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's go back to our sheet. All right, let's talk about this question right here. Hey Luke, love your content. Cool, thank you. I was curious if you had any insight on the recent leaks on Wizards of the Coast's revised OGL. Being in the process of becoming a third-party creator for 5e content, I'm very nervous. You know, it's the thing is that when you are putting videos on YouTube, or you're making Reddit posts, or you're making posts on Twitter, or whatever your social media choice is where you want to grow and become a thing, you know that you need to get attention. Like, that is the commodity at stake, getting attention. If you can get people's attention, if you can get them to look at it, to click at it, to read it, to comment on it, you know, all that kind of stuff, like that's the game you're in. You're in the game of attention. You want to get people's attention, you want them to pay attention to you, you know. And so right now, what people are doing to they're capitalizing on the open gaming license, the OGL, to get attention. That's what's going on. And so that's why you see tons of videos about the OGL. You see there's things on Reddit about it. Probably people are tweeting about it. You know, there's all over the place. You're going to see tons of stuff about the OGL. Because right now, that is the current thing that people have found will get attention. You get lots of attention. You put out a video about the OGL, people watch it. Right? Reddit post about the OGL. No, you want some karma? OGL, baby. And here's the other thing too. People, this is human psychology, and this is why news programs like CNN, Fox News, any of the news programs, like 90% of the news that you see is negative. It's all about bad stuff. There's a reason for that, because we are disproportionately drawn to negativity when we see it, because the fear, right? The fear. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Ah! Right? And so we, as people, as influencers, as people who are seeking attention, we know, or at least learn, that negativity will get people's attention faster than positivity. So like, I do have some videos that try to draw on negativity. And then I have other videos that don't. They just try to be positive and teach people stuff. And guess what happens? The videos I put out that look at negativity, guess what? They get more views. I know this, right? And then the videos I put out that is just like, hey, how to run an evil campaign. Not gonna get a lot of views, you know? And so, like, I know that if I were to shift my channel to just trying to capitalize on negativity, that I'd get way more views, you know, and the channel would I get way more attention if I capitalize on negativity. This is a thing that we know. Like if we're trying to get attention, we learn. If we don't know it, we learn it very quickly. I was actually recently checking out it was a woman's channel. She's in the D&D niche. She was talking about D&D and stuff, and it came up in my feed, and I was looking at her channel, and her whole channel is negative. Like every single thumbnail, every single title was negativity. Every single thing was a negative thing. I don't remember her name, and I wouldn't tell you her name, even if I did, because that would be bad form. But I was just impressed by, wow. And she was getting good views. She had a small channel, and she was getting disproportionately large number of views on her videos. And I was like, wow, she seems to be doing really well. And then then I began to see the pattern. Oh yeah, negative, outrage, negative. Oh my gosh, the world is falling apart. You know, the sky is falling, negative. And I was like, every single thumbnail and title is about negativity. And I was like, well, you know, that makes sense, because she knows, she's not stupid. She understands the game. She understands that negative stuff will get people's attention better than positive stuff, you know, and to a certain extent, it's like the blame isn't necessarily on her as the player, because that's the game, right? And if she wants to win the game, she's playing the game, you know? Like in football, in American football, the game is to hit people hard and move that ball down the field. And if you decide that, you know, that's just too violent and aggressive, we're going to play it soft, you're going to lose. You know, you're going to lose that game. So the game is negativity. And so what's my point? My point is the game is in attention, getting attention, and negativity gets more attention than positivity almost always. That's just the way it works. Now, you might say you don't like that, that's wrong, but guess what? We all reinforce that every single day when we click on videos and we watch things. Like we vote with our eyes and our attention every single day, and we reinforce that. And so we're all at fault for that. It's part of the human psyche in some regard. I don't know a whole lot about that crap, but I just know that that's the way things work. So my point is that right now everybody is capitalizing on the open gaming license and the fear mongering around it. The sky is falling, and this is going to be horrible, right? Everybody's trying to capitalize. I say everybody in an exaggerating way, because not everybody is, obviously, right? But many people are, because they know that if they talk about, first of all, because the OGL is a thing in the news and a hot topic right now, everybody is talking about it, you know. And again, I say everybody, you know, in a generalized way, because not everybody is. Just bear with me. So since OGL is in the news, it's a hot topic. Everybody wants to talk about it. And because there's some legitimate fear and anxiety around what it's actually going to be, you know, that causes people to worry about it. And so what a lot of people are doing is they're capitalizing upon those two things. They're literally preying upon people's. They're capitalizing on the fact that it's something really hot in the news right now, and then they're preying upon people's, you know, fear and anxiety and worry about what might happen and what that might mean for the hobby and stuff, you know. So like for the vast majority of people, you're not making 5e content. Your livelihood does not depend upon publishing 5e content and making money from it. So the vast majority of people have minor stake in the game. One could argue, although one could also argue that not necessarily, and we could talk more about that and what it might mean. But some people have a large stake in the game. Like there are some people that really have a stake in the game. There are some people that do full-time content creation for 5e. And so what happens to the OGL could really affect them. And there are some people that have employees that work for them that might be really affected. So some people have a lot of skin in the game, right? And so there's fear and anxiety out there about this, you know, and we see a lot of videos coming out that are really capitalizing upon that and taking advantage of that, you know. And that's just a thing that's happening. It's a thing that's happening, and some people are doing it more than others, obviously, you know. As somebody who recently had a skit that came out that people thought was true and didn't understand it was a satire and a joke. But some of this stuff is, yeah, so like I don't have any insight on the leaks. I don't have any insight on any of this stuff. Nobody reached out to me to share anything with me. I was not asked to do this NDA thing, and even if I was, if I had agreed to their NDA, I literally couldn't tell you about it. So I know nothing. I know probably about as much as anybody else does. What I do know is that every single thing that I see that comes out that people are freaking out about, I, because of what I do as a living, as an influencer, as a content creator, you know, on YouTube and trying to get people's attention, I know like all of that stuff that I just took like 20 minutes explaining to you, I know that all of that is a thing. And so all of these people who are publishing this stuff are intentionally trying to like, you know, get people worried about it. So they'll click on the video, they'll look at the Reddit post, they'll comment, and they'll get karma and stuff, you know. So like, I know people are doing this. And so when I see all of this stuff out there that is not backed up by any official statement from the company in question, you know, I am like, big grain of salt, Luke, just calm down. Deep breath. Like, there's no official information. There's nothing for you to judge anything based upon. So just calm down. Right now, it's mostly business as usual. But start thinking in your brain what you would do in case something really, really bad happens, you know? So I have no more information on that stuff. I do know that I'm not too terribly concerned about it. I think that things are going to be okay for at least my company, and I have various things to do, I think, that will protect us if something catastrophic happens. I don't think that my company even needs an open gaming license, because most of the stuff that we publish really kind of only relies upon game mechanics. And game mechanics cannot be copyrighted. That was like a ruling in the Supreme Court that you cannot copyright game mechanics. So almost all the resources that we publish are the only thing that we actually borrow from 5th edition are game mechanics. The only things that we reference are game mechanics. So I think we would have to, if we as a company transition to not using an OGL, we would have to be very, very careful about monster names that we use. But beyond that, I think we're in a pretty good position because we just talk about game mechanics and you can't copyright those and you can't claim those as IP. So I'm not too concerned about it. If it comes down to it, then I think that we just purge ourselves of using the OGL at all and just don't use an OGL. We just, you know, publish our resources and we just are very careful that we don't, you know, I think that would be the way forward. Now what I need to do is I have some contacts who are in the RPG industry and who are literally in law. And I need to get some information from them. I need to get some contacts. I want to get I need to get in contact with like the proper lawyers and attorneys that specialize in this sort of thing. Specifically, I don't know if it's contract law or something like that. And I have to ask my contact to see who I would need to, and he can give me the proper reference, I'm sure. Because I need to start, at least I need to have somebody like that I can contact right away and probably pay a consultation fee or something because once the new version 1.1 comes out and we know more stuff, then I need to probably do the prudent thing of consulting actual lawyers and making sure that I'm okay, you know, and that'll cost some money and stuff. But you know, if you don't do it, and then you could really screw yourself. So there are some things that I know I have to do and get moving on. To protect ourselves from this. I'm not too worried about it. I think we're gonna be okay. Now, that said, yeah, those people are putting out videos. Don't believe all the videos you see. Don't believe all the videos you see, guys. M. Short says, this is very interesting from a business standpoint. I don't think I've heard such candid speech before. Nobody will tell you this stuff. Like, very few people will actually tell you real, honest stuff, you know? And the other thing too is that I was reading a Reddit post and there was this guy who claims to be a lawyer and he was saying all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, just like, you know, you claim to be a lawyer, you might actually be a lawyer, but do you specialize in, we'll call it contract law. I'm not sure exactly what specialization would be, but do you specialize in this stuff? You know, do you actually know what you're talking about? And like, did you just barely skim by law school and barely pass the bar? You know, or are you actually really good at what you do? You know, like, you know, it's like you go to a doctor and you're like, well, this doctor thinks this, and then you go to another doctor and the doctor is like, no, dude, that's crazy, do this. And then you're just like, okay. So even professionals who study the thing and have like certifications and stuff even defer on certain stuff, you know? So it's like, yeah, even if somebody is a lawyer and says a thing, like, doesn't mean I trust them. You know, like I have to recognize as well that law is based upon lawyers disagreeing with each other and fighting each other in court, you know what I mean, and making cases and stuff. So like you can't just be like, well, I'm a lawyer, therefore I know what I'm talking about. No, it doesn't work that way. Like that's not exactly the way it works. So I definitely take a grain of salt for any videos you see or any posts, the people that say they're lawyers and stuff. And it's not to discredit the information and knowledge and experience that they have. It's just to say that there's more perspectives to this. And also there's also the you have to not trust people sometimes, right? You have to know that people have ulterior motives, even if they're subconscious ulterior motives. And you know, especially for people whose job is literally to get attention, you know, you have to be careful, like about, okay, well, this person's a YouTuber, this is what they do. Their job is literally to get attention. Like they're in the business of getting attention. Okay, cool. So that's that. We have to acknowledge that. All right, cool. And then they're making a video saying these things. Okay, can I trust this? You know, I need to think about that. You know, I need to be considerate about that. Squeaky, will you calm down? You can't. You know what he wants to do? He wants to walk over here and rub the camera with his nose. I guarantee you, if I let him walk this way, he's gonna rub that camera. You gonna rub the camera, or are you gonna be a good kitty? He's just like, I just want attention, man. Rub my belly. Give me attention. Pain in the butt. So I don't know. There's a bunch of thoughts on it, and different things, but I don't think the sky is falling. But I will tell you this. I have a couple thoughts. First of all, the OGL, the new OGL that they're coming out with doesn't sound like an open gaming license. It sounds like a closed gaming license, literally, quite literally closed. Like you have to report to them the products you plan to sell. You have to register with them. You have to have a badge, and then you have to pay royalties if you're over a certain amount of gross income. Through sales of their stuff. So it's not an open gaming license. Like that there's no question about that. It is definitively becoming closed. There's absolutely no question at all about that. That cannot be even, you know, unless you're extremely biased, you might argue that it's still open, but no. It's closed. So what they've proposed coming out is for sure a closed gaming license. Now the details, we don't know a whole lot of details. We don't have it yet, right? So I think that's the first thing for us to acknowledge, is it's definitely not open anymore. At least the version 1.1 that they're going to come out with. I think the next thing too is that so Hasbro announced not too long ago that they have a 3-year objective of increasing their profits by 50%. They want to increase their revenue by 50% over the next 3 years. This came out, I think, in October or so of 2022. I forget exactly. So we know that Hasbro wants to increase profits by 50%. It's profits or revenue. I'm not sure what it is. It's one of those two because they're different things. Squeaky, you gotta get out of my face, dude. So, and we know that Wizards of the Coast is one of their big revenue generators. They bring in the money for Hasbro. And so we know then that Wizards is under the directive to make more money. And, you know, Cynthia Williams, the new CEO, specifically stated that, you know, that D&D is under-monetized. Maybe it was her, or maybe it might have been the dude who's now over Hasbro. I forget who it was, but they had a stakeholder meeting, and one of those two said that D&D is way under-monetized. Like there are different places and ways that they can more monetize D&D. Now, you know, the question, of course, is we don't know exactly what those were. I mean, they're trying to move into, like, you know, movies and stuff and make D&D a brand and all this kind of stuff. So there are other things that will make a whole lot more money, and the number of people, you know, that the number of people who do Kickstarters and actually sell third-party content compared to like the crazy amount of money that Wizards is making, we're very, very small. And so you have to, when you're running a business, what you do is you have to look at all the different ways that you could potentially make revenue, and then you have to say, okay, what's our low-hanging fruit? Like, what are our easy wins? What are the things in the quadrant that doesn't take a lot of effort but makes a lot of money? What are the things that might take a lot of effort but also make a lot of money? And then what are the things that take like a little bit of effort but don't make a whole lot of money? And then what are the things that take a little bit of effort? And so you have to analyze all your different potential, what the different, because you can't do everything. You have to think about what are the things that, and so what you do as a business is you say, okay, the things that don't take a lot of effort but make a lot of money, we're going to do those things. That's a no-brainer. Whatever's in that quadrant, you do those things. You 100% do those things. And then you say, so then you look at like, kicking all of the third-party publishers out of business. Like if the third-party publishers, let's pretend that the amount of revenue from third-party publishers is like, I don't know, this much compared to everything that Wizards makes, And if they have opportunities out there like movies, for instance, that can make lots of money, this is a question we have to ask ourselves. Is it going to be their priority to try to kick third-party publishers out of the business, and just totally shut them down? Is that their priority, or is their priority to do things elsewhere? It's a question we have to ask, right? Because they may have bigger, better priorities. There may be other things that they want to do besides, shut down third-party publishers, which is what people are worried about right now, And they definitely want a piece of the action. I mean, if they're going to require royalties from you if you make $750,000 or more in revenue a year, they definitely want a piece of the action, right? But you have to ask yourselves, do they want to shut them down completely? Is it worth their time? Is it worth the legal ramifications and all the court and stuff that they have to go through, right? Are they going to do that? Because if they do, right, then they're really getting petty. They're really getting sleamy and scuzzy, because that's a lot of effort to go through, I think, to shut down some folks who aren't even making that whole lot of money compared to what they're making. So that's stooping to a really low level and would have an amazing amount of community backlash and outcry. And there would be a lot of people like me that if they did something like that, who have big mouths, who are not afraid of talking very openly about the things they're doing and why that would be very, very bad, right? And so I think they're going to probably be more cautious about that because of the potential ramifications and the product, the brand damage that could be done for certain things is so great. It's like, okay, so we're going to make like, $10 million more a year by shutting all these people down, maybe, but then like the brand damage and the outcry from the community and stuff is so great that we've just taken a huge hit and people are boycotting our products because they think that what we're doing is wrong. And so you'd think that they would consider those things, right? You would think that they take that stuff into mind and consideration, and they're like, wow, maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe that little slice of the pie is not worth the potential backlash that we have from the community and everybody, on these things. And so you'd think they would consider that sort of thing. So there's part of me, the optimistic part of me, which is the greater part of me, thinks that, hey, I doubt they're going to do anything crazy tragic and dramatic, because that probably is not long-term smart for them, right? However, there's the other part of me that knows that people, the C-suite, the executives at companies, don't always think long-term smart, because it is pretty normal in companies for an executive to only be there about 3 years and then they move on. It's pretty normal. So an executive is thinking about I have to get results for 3 years, right? I have to get good results for 3 years or so. I have to get my like conditional performance bonuses at the end of each year, which is like a few $1 million by hitting my metrics. I have certain key deliverable metrics that I have to hit, and if I hit those, I get my big, huge, massive bonus. I have to do really well for 3 years. I got to take this company in a positive direction for 3 years, because after that, I'm moving on to a different company. That's what we do. We hop from company to company to company. So my thinking is short-term thinking. I need to be very, very successful while I'm here, and then I'm going to get a job somewhere else and I'm going to move on. What happens at the company after that doesn't matter to me. So if there's long-term damage from something a decision I make, it's like, oh, that's not my problem. That's somebody else's problem. That's the next, CFO's problem that comes in or whatever. And so so that's the question, right? Like, because you can think from a company standpoint, would they want to risk the brand damage, right? But then you got to think, well, the executives that are running it, what are they thinking? Do they care if the short-term profits go up? Do they care about the long-term consequences? And so then there's like, well, there's that going on too. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And there's a whole bunch more than that too, right? And I'm just talking about and know a small fragment of those things. Okay, so I do have a feeling that there's something slimy and sleazy that we're gonna find out about. when version 1.1 comes out. I feel like there's something that's going to be slimy and sleazy that we didn't know about, that we don't know about right now. Like, we know that if you make $50,000 or more, you're going to have to report it, according to what they said. We know that you're going to have to register on their online portal, right? If you want to create using version 1.1 of the OGL. We know that if you make $750,000 or more, you're going to have to pay royalties. That's what they've told us. And they've told us that you have to put a creator badge on your products too, if you're using OGL version 1.1. These are the things that we actually know, right? But at surface level, you know, you might say, well, that doesn't sound too bad, right? But the devil is always in the details. Like, it's kind of like, use like an example from politics at a very high level. Politicians will always tell you that they want to create jobs. They will always tell you that. No politician in their right mind says that they want to destroy jobs. They'd be crazy to say so. The devil's in the details. How the different, you know, parties go about creating jobs is what differs, and that's what causes people to say, I don't like the way you're doing it, and I like the way you're doing it better. And so in the same way, you know, at a very high level, you can look at these 4 things they've laid out and be like, that doesn't sound that bad, right? Like, you know, if you're making over 50,000, they just want you to, like, you know, you have to register. Okay, well, registering is not that bad, is it? Like, how bad could that be, right? And then if you're making over $50,000, like, you just have to tell them what products you're creating. Okay, that's not that big of a deal, right? Right? And then you have to put a creator badge on your work. Okay, so I have to put a little image on everything I create. Big deal, right? Right? If you're making over $750,000, you have to pay a royalty on the amount over $750,000. So a royalty, well, that's not, how much is a royalty? 1%? Is that big of a deal? Maybe it's not that big of a deal, you know? And according to their statement, it's the amount over $750,000, right? And so at surface level, you can look at those things and you might say, well, not that big of a deal, right? It doesn't sound that bad. The devil's in the details though, right? Like, what does registering involve, right? If you make over $50,000, what does that involve? Does it involve a third-party audit, right? Do you have to personally pay $5,000 or something for a third party to come in and audit your business so you can accurately report your earnings? What does that creator badge entitle? You know, when you agree to put that creator badge on there, are you signing something else? You know, are you giving away your IP? Is Wizards allowed to use your content in anything they choose to, just like GM's Guild, where they can use your stuff if they want to? I mean, what are the details? You know, if you're making over $750,000, what is the royalty? There's a royalty. What is it? Is it 1%? Is it 25%? Is it 50%? Like, we don't know what it's going to be, right? And so my point is, I don't know, and I'm not trying to like fearmonger and speculate and stuff. My only point I'm trying to make is that we don't know. We don't know. The devil's in the details. Now, those things, once they come out and we get the actual facts, we might just be like, not a big deal. It's fine. Who cares, right? Or they might come out and we might just be like, wow, holy crap balls, that's bad. We don't know because we don't know what the details are. Surface level doesn't seem that big of a deal, but the devil's in the details, right? And so what my gut tells me, I feel like things aren't, again, this is my optimism, my own personal perspective. I feel like things aren't going to be nearly as bad as people fear they're going to be. I feel like people always think things are going to be worse than they actually are, almost always, right? Like, somebody loses their job and they're like, my life is over. Ah! And then they go out and get a different job. They make more money at it and they end up being happier because they really didn't like that other job, right? But when you lose your job, your life is over. But then you get another job and things get better, you know? So I feel like we have a disproportionate fear for the unknown, and when that thing actually happens, it's usually not as bad as we think it's going to be. And so I feel like something like that's probably going to happen with this, where we're thinking the worst case scenario, and when it's probably not going to be as bad as we think it is. I don't think it's going to be rosy and shiny. I don't think it's going to be wonderful. It's not like, you know, Wonder Bread and sliced bread and crap. It's not going to be the best thing in the world, but I feel like it's not going to be as bad as some people are spinning it. Which is from my point of view, for the sake of views and getting attention. I feel like it's not gonna be that bad. But I do feel, like I alluded to a little bit ago, I do feel like something slimy is there's gonna be something sleazy and slimy in there. I don't know what it is. I just have this feeling. I have this feeling based upon all the facts that we have and what we know about, everything, the totality of the situation. I have this feeling in me that there's going to be something in there that's slimy and sleazy that we're not going to like. I don't know what it is. I have a feeling, my gut tells me, my gut tells me, and I hope this is not true. I really don't, because I think it would just be really, really bad. But I have a feeling they're going to try to take IP. I have a feeling that part of the OGL, Open Gaming License 1.1, is going to be that there's going to be a provision that you can create the content, you can sell the content and stuff, but that Wizards claims like the IP of it. They claim the rights to it or something, kind of like on the GM's Guild. I have a feeling that that's my fear. That's my personal fear. I no evidence, no source. This is just Luke speculating wildly of the thing that's like, that is the thing that I think would be the ultimate slime and sleaze, but I don't know. Like, I hope that would not happen. I feel like that would just be crazy, right? And who would publish under that? Well, there's a lot of people that publish on GM's Guild and give up 50% and their IP. They give up their ownership of their own creation, and 50% of their upfront, revenue. And so there are lots of people that do it already. And so maybe people would be okay with that. I can't imagine the big publishers would do that, though. I can't imagine folks like Kobold Press and Ghostfire Games and, name your big publishers that make some big money. I can't imagine they would agree to that, right? That's just nutso. And so I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be. At this point, I'm kind of speculating a little bit and probably adding fire to the flames, which I don't really want to do because I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as we all think. But there's some stuff there for you.
Once upon a time, there was a dungeon master named Timmy. He was too busy to properly prepare for his games, and his players all thought he sucked. But then Timmy's mommy got him Lair magazine for Christmas, reducing his prep time and improving the quality of his games. And then Timmy's players all loved him and thought he was the best dungeon master ever. Be like Timmy and become a DM Lair patron at the link below. Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you this. I can tell you with 99% certainty that for the foreseeable future, the DM Lair will not be using OGL version 1.1. We have, we only know what we know thus far. But I can pretty much 100%, almost 100% guarantee you that at least for the foreseeable future, that we will not be using that at all. We're gonna be avoiding that like the plague. And I don't even know what it includes, but I can tell you that based upon what I know about our publishing and the content that we create and some of the stuff and the direction our company intends to go, that we have no need to publish one D&D content at all to begin with. We have no, yeah. So I don't, because the thing is that the resources that we create, because of their game master resources, I'm pretty sure that we're going to be able to continue publishing stuff for 5th edition using the current Open Gaming License version 1.0a, which is actually an open gaming license. We can continue using that. And if for some reason they go nuts and try to like revoke that, then we'll just stop using a gaming license and I'm pretty sure we'll be fine. And we can continue creating our content. And then we can probably have a very short 1 to 2 page PDF that just tells game masters how they can change our content so that it works with 6th edition content. And I think that will work just fine. I don't think there'll be any problems with that because of the nature of the content that we create. I don't think it's going to cause a whole bunch of problems. Now, people who create player resources, like all the people who create classes and create new things for players and stuff, now that's going to be more complicated. I think that'll be a lot more tricky for them to figure out how to do that if they don't want to use the new OGL version 1.1. I think that'll be trickier for those folks. But we don't create player content. We literally create game master content. That's what we exclusively focus on. So I don't foresee a whole lot of problems with that. I could be wrong. Everything might come down to a big pile of flames, and then I'm gonna you know, and then I'll be screwed. I don't know, but you know, it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me at all right now to worry about that stuff. There's a difference between taking prudent action and freaking out, you know, and there's nothing right now that causes me to freak out except for attention grabbing, you know, people that are trying to get attention on the internet, you know. So I'm not too worried right now. All right. If there are any follow-up questions about that whole, moderators, if there's any follow-up questions about that topic, things I did not consider or I did not discuss and people ask it, please flag it appropriately in the spreadsheet so that I can address it. I want to make sure that I try to address any different things people might have that I haven't already discussed. So thank you. I'm struggling to make my campaigns like other campaigns that I see on the internet. I don't understand. If the question is actually asking that you read other campaigns on the internet and then when you try to make yours they end up being the same and you don't want that, you want to make something creative and different, then it's a creativity thing, right? And coming up with ideas. How would I go about doing that if I struggled with coming up with ideas? I would probably try to look at books that I read for ideas. I would probably try to look at other games for ideas. I would, you know, games besides role-playing game or games besides, like, you know, if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, you're playing Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, look at different games. You can go to like people's Discords or like Facebook or Reddit or something and try to crowdsource some ideas and stuff, you know, try to get other people's ideas. If you're having trouble with creativity, then you could try to do some of those things, I suppose. That's how I would probably go about doing that if I had trouble with creativity. I usually don't have that happen to me, so it's probably a little harder for me to give you actionable suggestions, just because you know if you've never done it before, you don't know. You can only theorize about how you would do a thing if you've never had to do it before and never had a problem with it. My players are gonna hike a mountain to find the dragon's lair. I want the hike to be a journey that lasts 1 to 2 sessions before the dragon fight. What are some fun encounters to give them? Oh, I don't know. I don't like crowdsourcing ideas. Go to a Discord, go to my Discord and ask people for ideas. Go on Facebook group and ask people for ideas. I don't want to give you ideas. I literally don't, because I'm doing your job for you. Like you're the game master. You need to flex your own creativity and your own muscles. Like, could I do it for you? Yeah, we could sit here for 5 minutes and I could brainstorm a whole bunch of different encounters and I can help you build it out. I don't think I'm doing you any favors. Like if you want to become better at that stuff yourself, then like I think you need to do the hard work of learning how to, of like exercising it and figuring that stuff out and coming up with encounters and using your imagination and using your own brain and flexing your muscles. Like I just don't, like, I'll teach you how to fish. I'm not gonna catch the fish for you. I'm not gonna do it. But there are lots of people out there that will, you know, and I would refer you to them, because I'm a cold, heartless jerk like that, I suppose. Yeah, sorry. Do you have any tips for a new DM running a campaign for one person? I mean, it's not hard. I ran a campaign for one person when I was in high school, and it was pretty fun. I don't think it's as fun as when you have multiple people. There's something about having multiple people that makes it a lot more fun than just one person. But if you got what you got, you got what you got. You're really just balancing the game for one person. So think about action economy. You know, most of the time, if you have one player, then they're going to be fighting. If you're looking at combat, then, and this is the biggest thing you have to balance it for, you have to consider in combat, you have one person, and if you have 1 or 2 enemies, that's it. If you have more than 2 enemies, action economy is really going to hurt that player. So you probably want to have 1 or 2 enemies max, right, in your combats, in your encounters. The other thing to consider too, when you only have one person, is they don't have as wide a variety of things they can do in the game compared to an entire party. So if you have a person who's, let's pretend they're a fighter, right? Well, they don't have very good healing, right? They're probably popping potions. and they don't have thieving skills. Their social interaction skills, like their talkie-talkie, deception, persuasion skills, are probably not that good. And so I would consider those facts when I'm designing my game for them. Like if they're a fighter, I'm probably not going to have a whole bunch of stealth missions, or I'm not going to have a bunch of like locks that need to be picked, or there's going to be social interactions because that's part of the game. But you know, I'm probably going to make the DCs a little bit easier or something, or something, but I'm going to customize and craft some of these elements in the game so that the game is still playable and enjoyable by that single player. I'm going to cater, in other words, I'm catering the game more to who their character is than I would for a normal game. A normal D&D game or RPG game or whatever that I run, I really don't care who the characters are as far as like some of the game balance design concerns. You know, like I look at their backstories and we'll do stuff with that, right? That's a different consideration. But when I design adventures and encounters and stuff, it doesn't really matter to me for a typical group whether they have a healer or a tank or a DPSer or a thief or a talkie-talkie like bardic person. You know, I don't care, right? Because you have 4 or 5 players, I'm making my game world the way I make my game world. It is up to you to figure out how you're going to overcome the challenges, because you as a group of people almost assuredly have all the skills you need to overcome whatever challenge I put in the game for you, because there's several of you. Usually that's almost always the case, so I don't worry about it. You know, they're gonna figure it out one way or another. But when you have one person, that's not true. So in that particular case, yes, I'm gonna think about what they can do and what they can't do, and I'm gonna start to customize my game design based upon their limitations and based upon their strengths. Because that it's a different situation, different circumstance. So that is the consideration, the thing to think about when you're designing that game for them, right? Because you don't have a whole party of people with different abilities and skills that can usually overcome almost anything you put in front of them, right? And so that's the big consideration. And obviously, like that, I can't tell you how to do that. That literally involves you analyzing the situation, analyzing their character, thinking about the player, and then designing your game, you know, in a way that makes sense based upon that stuff, right? All right, another question about the OGL 1.1. I know you are of the optimistic mindset, but do you think Wizards of the Coast is trying to successfully do what they failed to do with 4th edition with VTT, Virtual Tabletop, GSL, video game mechanics? I think to a certain extent, history is doomed to repeat itself. What my understanding, and this is based upon my somewhat limited reading on the matter, so I don't purport to know everything about this. My understanding of what they did with 4th edition is they did not produce an open gaming license at all for 4th edition. Wizards wanted to be the sole creator of 4th edition content. And what happened is, well, we all know that 4th edition tanked. It was an absolute massive failure as a business venture. It caused the rise of one of their chief competitors. It was an abject failure, right? And so, but their objective, what they wanted to do with 4th edition by not having an OGL was to take all the money for themselves. They didn't want anybody else to get a piece of the action. They wanted to make all of the money themselves for 4th edition because they're the only ones that can create content for 4th edition. And 4th edition was a radically different game than 3.5, than 2nd edition. It was radically different. And so without the open gaming license, there's no way anybody could possibly create content for 4th edition, right? Because it was just such a different game. I mean, that's my basic understanding of it. Take it with a grain of salt, right? But the goal was just money. We want all the money for themselves. That's why they did it, right? Just summarize it. There could be other goals and motivations and reasons and stuff, which we won't discuss right now. But let's just assume, for the sake of brevity and ease of, speaking about this, that it was mostly a goal of just making more money for themselves. And it failed utterly. But it wasn't just because there was no open gaming license. If we were to say that the lack of an open gaming license for 4th edition is the sole thing that caused it to fail so horribly because the community revolted so much against it and there was such outrage and shock around it, and that's the reason it failed, I think that would be very disingenuous and unfactual, because one of the reasons too that 4th edition failed utterly is that it wasn't D&D for most people. It was a completely different game system. Like when people thought about, I'm gonna go play D&D, 4th edition was so radically different that it did not fit into their conceptualized idea of what D&D was supposed to be, what they wanted D&D to be. And so they're like, well, that's okay, you're calling it 4th edition D&D, but that's not D&D to me. Like, I don't want to play that game. Like, I want to play D&D, and that, to me, that's not D&D. So I'm going to keep playing 3.5, or I'm going to go play Pathfinder, or I'm going to go back to, like, you know, AD&D, or I'm going to do my old whatever I want to do. And so I think one of the big reasons that 4th edition failed is that many people felt that it wasn't D&D. They didn't have that same feeling. It was a completely different game, right? And so there was a combination. There were a couple, at least a couple different factors that caused 4th edition to fail, right? One of them, it was people didn't feel like it was a D&D. The other was there was no OGL. And so what happens when there's no OGL is, and when there's only one company creating all the content, well, you have a limited amount of content, right? Like right now, if you look at 5th edition, there's obviously the content that Wizards of the Coast produces for 5th edition, right? And I think they have usually about 4 releases a year or something. Let's make this easy. Let's call it 4 releases a year. Every quarter, they have 1 new release. And so every year you're getting 4 books. That's it. That's not a lot of variety. Like, and maybe it doesn't appeal to me. Like, most of the books they released this year did not appeal to me. Strixhaven, crap on that. Not gonna do that. You know, the what was it? The Spelljammer thing didn't appeal to me. Especially $80 for a box set that only has 150 pages of content. Did not appeal to me. And I'm never gonna use it. And so if to me this content is not appealing to me, what am I going to do? Like if they're only let's pretend that in 5th edition, you know, nobody else was creating content, right? And their content doesn't appeal to me. Like, I have nowhere to go. I have no recourse. I'm just not going to buy this junk, you know? But 5th edition is not like that. 5th edition has Kickstarters, you know, you got all these different people doing Kickstarters, creating content, you know, you have Kobold Press creating content, you know, all these people are creating tons of different content. So if in 5th edition, I say Strixhaven sucks and I don't want Spelljammer and, you know, I love Eberron, but let's pretend that I didn't like it, you know, let's pretend that everything that let's pretend, this isn't true, but let's pretend that everything that Wizards comes out with for 5th edition, I don't like it. Well, guess what? There's a whole massive amount of third-party publishers that are also creating 5th edition content. And guess what? There's a good chance that some of what these people are producing will appeal to me and I'm gonna go buy from them. And so I'm happy because there is a wide variety of 5th edition products that I can purchase that if some of them don't appeal to me, that's okay, because there's always somebody else producing something that I might like, right? And so there's a wide variety of content to choose from. Now, Wizards is still making the majority of that money, right? Because they're the leader of the content. They're the leader in the industry because they were the first in the industry, which is a business principle. You're not always the leader in an industry because you're the best. Usually the leader in an industry is the leader because they were the first to start it. That's just a business principle. But anyway, that's 5th edition, right? 4th edition wasn't like that. 4th edition, if you wanted to play 4th edition, there's only one company producing content for 4th edition, so your options were limited, right? Your options were limited. Mommy is hissing at Squeaky because he doesn't like this. He's trying to get attention too. So, is Wizards, the question is Wizards trying to, you know, position themselves in the same way for one D&D such that they're the only ones creating content for one D&D? I think is what the question is. According to what they said in their statement, they didn't say they were trying to do that. They were literally saying that they were providing a way for people to continue creating content for one D&D, but that there were restrictions. You know, there were certain things that you have to do. And so it doesn't seem like they're trying to make it so that nobody can produce content for one D&D. It doesn't, according to what we know from what they said, it doesn't seem like they're trying to do that. What it does seem like they're trying to do is get a piece of the action, right? That's what they're trying to do. So yeah, that's what they clearly want to get some money. They want to get a piece of the action from people who are making good money off from one D&D, you know, when it comes out. They definitely want money, right? Are they trying to stop people from publishing in it? So from what we know right now, the evidence seems to indicate that they don't want to stop people from publishing one D&D content. They just want some of the action, right? That's what we know right now. Now, if the terms of this next version, 1.1 of the license are such that many third parties decide not to publish one D&D content, like I can already tell you that my company is probably not going to, and there are probably others that are kind of like, nah, we'll just keep doing 5th edition for a while and capitalize upon the content vacuum that's going to happen when Wizards shifts to 1D&D. So whether they're trying to do that or not might not matter, because there might be a lot of people like me that look at the new license that comes out and are like, I'll pass, thank you. And then you could end up with a lack of content for 1D&D, and you could end up with Wizards being almost the primary publisher of it because other third-party publishers decide not to publish under this new very restrictive license that it sounds like we're going to get. So that's a possibility. It feels so. Then the natural question, of course, is, well, so is this a ploy then to, on the surface, be like, no, we love you, we love D&D, we love the community, we love third-party publishers, we want you to keep on, we have our open arms, please keep on publishing content, but here's the fine print, right? So it is, the question is it an attempt, a public relations attempt to appear to want to allow people to keep publishing, but the fine print is such that most publishers aren't going to do it. They're not going to agree to it. So then by de facto, right, you essentially have Wizards, through some nice lawyery public relations sleight of hand, edging everybody out of 1D&D and making themselves the only publishers of 1D&D. Right? Do we have some little sleight of hand stuff going on where, so they can appear to be open-handed, but really behind the scenes, they know what they're doing and they're trying to edge everybody out? I don't know. No, you can only guess as to what their motivations are and what they're actually trying to do. And of course, again, we're really starting to go into speculation because we don't know any of the fine print of what the version 1.1 is going to be. So we're really just starting to speculate again, and we don't know. But I think there's a lot of stuff there to think about, right? And over the next couple months, I think we're going to find out a whole bunch of stuff, and it'll be enlightening. And then we're going to have a better idea of things, and we're not going to just speculate. We'll actually be able to look at the OGL and talk about it, like really talk about it. So, all right. I'm gonna go get some more tea. Listen to the Barbarian. He has some wonderful stuff to tell you.
Hello, Barbarian here. I'm interrupting your regularly scheduled program with a very important announcement. Now, some of you have been watching the DM Lair for years now, and others of you are new here. And if you're new, that's okay. And if you're really old and you have gray hair or no hair at all, that's okay too. We do not participate in ageism around here. In fact, this is an ism-free zone. There are absolutely no isms around here. In fact, if your name ends in ism, you should leave now. Wait, you know what? Just to play it safe, if you have any of the following letters in your name, you should leave. I, S, or M. Yeah. Anyway, the important announcement. Well, I'm really just going to ask you for money, but I'm going to dress it all up in fancy marketing clothes so that you'll never even realize that I'm manipulating your fragile emotions to make a quick buck. Trust me, this will be the world's best sleazy plug. Won't you please consider becoming a DM Lair patron at the link below? You see, my team and I work really hard to publish Lair magazine every month for our beautiful patrons. And when we don't have enough patrons, well, revenue dips. And when revenue dips, we have to do cutbacks. And well, that's really sad. You see, people always blame companies when they have to do cutbacks, but really it's your fault as the consumer for not buying all their crap. Or it's because they're trying to maximize shareholder value for stockholders. Or the C-suite could just have their heads up their butts because that happens a lot. Anyway, I'm not just asking you to throw your money into a hole. When you become a DM Lair patron, you're going to get cool stuff every month. 5th edition adventures, monsters, traps, puzzles, magic items, digital maps, and more. So if you don't want me to have to fire Penguin Butt and Goliath Cleric, become a DM Lair patron today at the link below. Oh no, I just realized that I have an I in my name. Barbarian has an I in it. I guess I'm gonna have to fire myself. Bye now.
Okay, cool.
Quick reminders, we have a giveaway going on. If you'd like to enter the giveaway, there should be a link down in the description. Yeah, there's one right there. Basically, you can win a copy of Into the Fae, which is a level 1 to 5 module for 5th edition, or you can get some store credit on the DM Lair store. So enter the giveaway. We'll draw the winner at the end of the stream, which is coming up pretty soon, like an hour or so. What else was I gonna say? Oh, we're raising money too for One More Child as well. One More Child is a charity organization that supports victimized children, struggling families. It supports single mothers. It helps with orphanage. It helps with anti-trafficking, stopping child trafficking and stuff like that. Our goal is to raise $500 for One More Child. If you would like to do so, there is a link in the chat where you can tip. 100% of all tips go toward One More Child. And when we get to our goal of $500, we'll make that donation for them. All right, let's keep going here.
My dog is back here snoring. I can hear my dog snoring.
Mommy, what are you doing? Mommy.
Camera. I got a couple cats down here going crazy. Cat cam.
Mommy, what are you doing?
Squeaky's over here too.
What's up, Squeaky?
Hey, what's up?
Mommy.
That's why I got all these cameras. Gotta be able to see the kitties going crazy. Mommy cat, a lot of the cats do this, but mommy does this a lot, is she goes and sleeps on the vents in the house. All of the vents where the hot air comes out, she'll sleep on top of the vent. And so the hot air is just like hitting her butt and stomach as she's like sleeping. There she goes.
Hey, mommy.
I'm adorable. We rescued mommy. She was an outdoor cat. And we rescued her. She had like a bunch of kittens and stuff. But she lived outdoors in the cold and stuff. And now she's warm and happy and sleeps on our heating vents all the time. Isn't that right, mommy? That's right. She's adorable. All right. Let's get some more questions here. Another OGL question. What if the new rumor is true that Wizards of the Coast is trying to get rid of the old version of the OGL by claiming they have deauthorized them with Open Gaming License 1.1? I think what you're going to have is probably a whole bunch of people will just stop using the Open Gaming License and they'll just stop using it. Period. Just take it off and just not use an Open Gaming License and just publish content that just uses the game mechanics, which can't be copyrighted. That's what I would do. I mean, I would have to consult with lawyers and crap to make sure I'm good, but that would 100% be what I would do. I would just stop publishing under the OGL, rip it off my stuff, and just publish my content, without using anything from the OGL or anything from the SRD. And as long as I stay away from using anything from their SRD, then I think I'd be fine. This is just me thinking based on what I know, right? I don't think that rumor is true. I think that's the latest evolution of rumors for people who are seeking attention. That is my personal opinion. I don't think that's true. I think that if they were to do that, you would have big companies, a lot of big companies that would all throw their hats in a collective, legal action to stop them from doing that. Because if they were to revoke Open Gaming License version 1.0a, you would essentially be putting several multi-million-dollar companies out of business overnight, I believe, because all of their in-flight products use that gaming license, right? They have printed books in warehouses, they have digital sales online, they have lots of stuff. If you were to try to revoke that, you would be putting many multi-million-dollar companies out of business overnight, which means that those companies aren't just going to bend over and take it. They're going to get their lawyers together. If they were to try to do something like that, and then there were an initiative led by some of these companies, then other third-party publishers who wanted to join in could join in to support it. I would be there in a heartbeat. If they were to try to revoke that, and I knew immediately, Pathfinder,
Cobalt Press and some of the other big companies are getting together, and they're filing like what do they call it? A conjunction? What is it? Zach knows the term. If they go to court and file like a suit basically to, you know, fight the revocation of it and stuff. I forget what it's called. There's a name for it. But if those companies were to like go to battle to court to fight that and stuff, injunction. Thank you. I knew it was something like that. Injunction. If they file an injunction to stop that so that they can continue publishing it and then fight it out in court for like a few years or something, like I 100% guarantee you, I'm all on board that. I will reach out to those companies and be like, hey, I'm an influencer on YouTube. I will help you. I'll do videos for you. I'll talk to people about this. I will raise the, I don't know, the topic of conversation. I will talk about this. I'll explain this to people. I am volunteering I am volunteering my time and energy, my channel. I'm volunteering my bandwidth to help you. Like, how can I help you? What can I do using my specific skill set, you know, to help you in this now court battle in case that you have? Look, what can I do? You know, and I'm there in a heartbeat, and I'm sure that there are lots of other influencers who would probably help them. Now, there are going to be some of them that have thrown their hats in with Wizards of the Coast that are essentially been paid and bought off by Wizards of the Coast that are not going to do that. They don't want to poke the sleeping giant or something. I don't know. But the giant's not sleeping anymore, by the way. It's just a question of where he swings his club. So not everybody would be willing to do that, right? But I'm there in a heartbeat. So Paizo, Cobalt Press, if you guys need my help, you know, I'm here. You know, my email contact is on my about page on my YouTube channel. You know, you know where to reach me. And I actually have a contact at Paizo who reached out to me before. So I'm here, you know, and I will help, because if they try to revoke version 1.0a, not only does it directly affect me, but it affects everybody who publishes stuff for 5th edition, you know, and other editions, right? And completely not cool at all. And extremely reprehensible, immoral, slimy business stuff. And I hate slimy corporations, so I'll be all over that crap. So anyway, I feel like that rumor, if it turns out to be true, will be a fun day. We'll have some fun around here. I don't think it's true, though. I don't think it's true. I think Wizards is smarter than that. They want money. They don't want to sign their own death warrant, is my suspicion. And I feel like even though they're bringing in executives who don't know anything about the RPG business, you know, the executives that are coming in right now are all from Microsoft, right? Cynthia Williams and the crew, they're all bringing them in from Microsoft and stuff. And they probably know almost nothing about the RPG industry and tabletop gaming. And they're probably suffering from the Duns-Kruger effect, you know, which they know just enough to like make really bad decisions. And so maybe they do stuff like that because they don't know any better. But I'm the optimism in me is like, yeah, I don't think they're that dumb. Like they're not that dumb, right? So I don't know. We'll see. An article from something, they seem to have more detailed information, and it includes information that says it will be released by January 23 and independently collaborates the leak. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to pull that article up on stream and read it right now. I'm not familiar with what it says. We'll find out stuff when we find out stuff, and then we'll take appropriate actions when we find out what we find out. If they update the monsters and the game mechanics don't change, do you think the 5th edition content will be backwards compatible? I feel like, saying that 5th edition, saying that 1 D&D will be backwards compatible with 5th edition, I feel like what's actually going to be the case is that, yes, I feel like this is my guess. The game mechanics are probably going to be backwards compatible. So the 1 D&D game mechanics will be backwards compatible with 5th edition stuff. What I don't think is going to be compatible is the power of everything. So, for instance, if I have Curse of Strahd for 5th edition, will I be able to run 5th edition Curse of Strahd, or a group of characters who were created with one D&D rules? I have a feeling no. I have a feeling that I'm gonna have to do a whole lot of changes to like the encounters and different things to make them actually work with one D&D characters. So when they say that the backwards compatible, the rule set, I suspect probably technically yes, but I feel like what you actually experience is going to be no. We really can't really effectively use some of this stuff from 5th edition with one D&D because reasons, like for instance what I just told you, So I feel like it's going to be one of those like, technically compatible, but all of that old stuff, you can't really effectively use it. And if you do want to use it, it's going to take a whole lot of work on your end to like tweak stuff, especially modules and monsters, especially, right? And then that's the bulk of the content, right? The bulk of the content is modules. The bulk of the content is modules, monster books, So yeah, and that's the stuff that Dungeon Masters buy a lot of, So I feel like a lot of that is going to be deprecated is probably the best term. I feel like it can still technically be used, but it's not optimal, and you're gonna have to do some like heavy work on it to make it work. It'll hardcore be deprecated to encourage you to buy the new stuff, of course. Squeaky. Do you have any experience running hex crawls? My players are about to hit a long travel portion, but I don't want to run it day by day, but I also don't want to just fast travel. Yes, but I usually don't do hex crawls. Usually what I do is more of a point of interest system that I have that's kind of like a hex crawl, but not exactly like a hex crawl. Squeaky, you gonna jump up here or what? Come on, let's get up here. Come on. Jeez. He's like doing this false start where he's like, I'm gonna jump on you, I'm gonna jump up there, but not. Just kidding. You gonna get up here or what? What's going on down there? Come on. Let's go. Come on, you big tub. Oh, no, he doesn't want to come up. You can see him down here. We do have, if you're interested in running hex crawls though, we do have, I think it's the March issue of Lair magazine. Zach knows. Is it March? I think it's March that we have our hex crawl issue coming out, where literally the entire issue of Lair magazine is going to be devoted to hex crawls. And we're going to have an entire hex crawl that begins, I think it's a level 3 to 5 hex crawl. And we give you like a world map with hexes, and then we give you the contents of all the hexes. Some of them are full-blown adventures, others are encounters, social encounters, there might be exploration encounters, different things like that. So we give you an entire hex crawl in the issue, level 3 to 5 hex crawl that you can run in your games if you're interested. Sorry. That'll be March issue of Lair magazine. So yeah, if you're interested in a hex crawl and you want to run a hex crawl, like that's what you want to get. And we literally just published the January edition of Lair magazine right now, and Lair magazine has just tons of game master resources for 5th edition. We publish adventures. Our adventures come with maps, like digital maps. Our adventures have read aloud text for everything. Our adventures are designed for you to be able to quickly prepare to run the adventure at your game and also reference it at your game. One of the things I've noticed with official adventures is that they're not organized in such a way that makes them easy to prep nor easy to find what you're looking for during the game session. Like if you forgot what was in that cabinet, like how do I find where that cabinet is and what it contains? Like sometimes you can be hunting around and it makes the game bogged down a little bit. We intentionally design our adventures and all of our resources to be very easy to prep and use at your game table to reduce your effort basically. Now what that results in is that it might not be as pretty as official stuff, the layout, like because of the way we do certain things, like it's not as pretty as like nice flowing columns and text. I can't describe it pretty effectively, but like it might not be as pretty, but it's more usable. It's more usable, which is why like I have right here, easy to use. Like that is what defines the resources that DM Lair publishes. Easy to use. We do our very, very best to make these things as easy to use as possible, because what we want to do for game masters is we want to help them reduce their prep time and still run amazing games. And having something that's easy to use makes a world of difference, especially when we're busy, we don't got a lot of time, right? And so anyway, that's my impromptu plug for Lair magazine, I suppose, and you can get it becoming a patron. right there. It's right there. What's your thoughts on running mazes in dungeons? Mazes are hard. Like. I think I may have run a maze once, but I think it might have been more kind of like a skill challenge, as opposed to like describing to them, okay, you turn left and then you can see a corridor that goes straight and there's a left turn and a right turn. Where do you want to go? And then they're like, well, let's go to the right one. And then somebody's trying to map it out at the table, you know, like you could do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. It could be really hard, right? And then it's going to get tedious too. Like the question to ask yourself with running a maze is, are we having fun doing this? Is this going to be fun and enjoyable, right? Is this going to be more? It might be, right? And if you have normal, typical adventures and stuff, every so often a maze is something new and different. Maybe that would be fun to do every year or something, right? And then you have to implement it a certain way, you know. Obviously, you can't show them the top-down maze and then have them trace a line through it. That takes like 2 minutes, and they're going to be done. You have to describe it all narratively to them. And then they're like, you know, keeping a map or something, or you have a maze on your map if you're playing online and you're just revealing fog of war as they go, and then they're just kind of moving eventually they're going to find their way out because they're just exploring everywhere because they have the advantage of the bird's eye view. When you're running a maze, if your players can see the bird's eye view of the maze as it unravels, that won't work. That completely will not work. It's not a maze. When you have the advantage of being able to see the bird's eye view, it's not a maze. Even if you can only see a little bit and then as you explore it, the fog of war expands, not a maze. Not a maze, because the hallmark of a maze is that you don't have a bird's eye view. You're literally in the maze and all you can see is left, right, straight, or turn around and go back. Like, once you have a bird's eye view, the entire concept of a maze is worthless and is destroyed, right? And so the moment that you have a hedge maze and your druid turns into a bird and flies above, it's over. The maze has been defeated, right? And so then you put a ceiling on it and it's like, oh, you can't do that. Oh, okay, cool. Now we have an actual maze. So you have to deny them the benefit of a bird's eye view. You must. Otherwise, the maze doesn't work and it falls apart in 2 seconds and the maze is over. And it was a failure from most people's point of view. So you have to describe the maze to them from their character's point of view, left, right, straight, right? And then you have to play it that way, and then somebody has to map it out until they finally, and the mapper is they're probably gonna screw some things up, and it's gonna be confusing and woo, you know. Now, well, is that fun? It might be, you know. I would do that. I would give it a try to see how it plays out. And then, you know, you actually role play it through the whole maze. And then, you know, there's different things in the maze, and depending on where they go, they find different stuff. I mean, that could be really fun and really cool for some groups. Other groups might hate that, you know? So those are some basic thoughts on it. I think it's worth giving it a try. I wouldn't do that type of like really nitty gritty maze running on a frequent basis unless your players loved it, like crazy loved it. But even if you crazy love something, too much of it, you're gonna stop loving it. For instance, there was this I think it was a Chinese restaurant that we all liked. We all liked this Chinese restaurant. But guess what happened? We went there too often, and then we didn't like it anymore. You know, too much of a good thing can ruin that good thing. And then, you know, we haven't been to that Chinese restaurant for years because we ruined it. You know, so even if you have tons of fun with a maze, too much of a good thing can ruin it. Potentially, because it's just like, oh, we've done mazes so much, now I can't stand mazes. It's like, you know, you might love Cheerios and you eat the crap out of Cheerios, but then after a while you're just like, oh, I hate Cheerios, I'm done with Cheerios. I never want to see another Cheerio again in my life, you know? What are your thoughts on a battle royale one shot for the PCs? Have I ever had a battle royale? Have I done a battle royale? I'm not sure that I've ran a battle royale before. So I don't know if I have any personal experience with that. I can tell you at the very first LairCon in 2001, when we first did LairCon, there was a guy that ran a battle royale. I forget his name. He actually has a YouTube channel. I forget his name now. I'm sorry. He ran a battle royale, and people really liked it. A lot of the people had tons of fun in that battle royale. Amber was in it. I think Amber was there. I don't know if Amber's on stream. Amber's is on stream. Do you remember who that was? Who was that ran that battle royale? Because I'm pretty sure you were in it and you liked it a lot. Yeah, I think you were telling me about being on top of a column or something, and then I don't know. I think you might have won it or something. I forget. I forget the details. But Fry Minis. Okay, there we go. Fry Minis. So Fry Minis, he has a YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure he was at LairCon year 1, and he ran a battle royale. And my understanding is that a lot of players had tons of fun in it. That's really all I know and all I can tell you. I'm pretty sure actually Fry Minis they published a battle royale rule set. They gave me a copy of it. I don't know where it is. It's probably around here somewhere. I believe their battle royale rule set was available on the Dungeon Master, the DM's Guild, or on Drive-Thru RPG. If anybody has a link to Fry Mini's battle royale rules on, it's either DM Dungeon Master, Drive-Thru RPG, or DM's Guild. If you can find it and link it in the chat, moderators, you're welcome to do so. Because if people are, upfront honest, I didn't read his battle royales rules. He gave me a copy, but I don't have time for stuff, so I never read them. All I can tell you is that people who played in it had fun. So they're probably fun rules. That's all I can really tell you. I am designing a tabletop RPG system. Any advice or sources you can give for publishing? It's meant to be free for everyone. I just want to make sure nobody can steal it and make it not free anymore. Yeah, that's definitely a question for a lawyer. I don't know. That's not a me question. I don't even. I mean, yeah. So probably what you want to do is talk to a lawyer, and you need to talk to the right lawyer too. Like lawyers have specialties, right? Like somebody might specialize in family law. That means getting a divorce, basically. Somebody might specialize in like contract law. Somebody might specialize in like, injury law or something. And so you have to talk to the right lawyer. Now, I don't know who that would be, but if you talk to the wrong lawyer, they're probably going to tell you who to talk to, and they might give you some references, hopefully, unless they're just going to be sleazy and take your business, even though they don't know what they're talking about. So yeah, that's probably a lawyer question. You need to have a consultation with a lawyer to make sure you're doing the right thing. My dog woke up and it's moving.
Hi there, you probably already know what I'm going to say, but if you don't, that's okay. I literally get paid to do this stuff, so I don't mind repeating myself. Anyway, if you're a busy person and you would like to spend less time prepping for your D&D games, you should really become a DM Lair patron and get a new issue of Lair magazine every month. It contains 5th edition and resources designed by our team of mad scientists to brainwash your players into thinking you're the very best dungeon master in the entire world. So just go on ahead and click that big shiny link below and become a DM Lair patron today. Don't worry, your players will never even know that you're cheating.
All right, as a general rule, which rules of the world do you find acceptable for your bad guys to break, and when you consider it that you are taking it too far? NPC magic and that kind of stuff. Rules of the world for bad guys to break. Okay. I'm careful with that one. I'm a little careful with that one. I feel like I feel like it's okay for bad guys to have abilities and effects that characters don't have access to. I think that's perfectly fine. Like, for instance, I might have a red dragon that has an aura of heat damage. If you come within 5 feet of the red dragon, or if you hit it with a melee attack, you take damage, you take fire damage. That sort of thing is fine, right? And is that available to characters? No, they really can't get an aura of heat damage. It's pretty much impossible. I'm okay with that sort of thing. But there's other things I feel like it's because there's like, I'm customizing my monsters and I'm customizing my bad guys. So my bad guy might be able to cast a spell that characters can't. Like if I'm running a Lich who is a level 25 Lich, that Lich might have access to a 10th level spell or an 11th level spell or a spell that nobody else in the world has ever heard of, right? They might be able to do stuff that characters could only dream of and never have access to. That sort of thing is a possibility, and I'm perfectly fine with that. However, I feel like there needs to be, and I don't know where this is, but there needs to be like some sort of line of reason and rationality where you can't get, I don't know how to even explain it or describe it to you, but I feel like there would be some things that would be, like foul play or not fair play or, going too far, like for instance, if my bad guy can, just like snap their fingers as like a special move and then rewind the entire battle to the beginning and start everything over again, and they can do that as a recharge ability on a 5 or 6. So they can basically just rewind time like that and just start the battle over again until they finally win. Like, that's ridiculous. Not only is it ridiculous as a special ability, but it's ridiculous from a gameplay standpoint because that would be horrible. The players know that they're eventually going to lose and they would just be like, this is stupid, we're done playing. If the bad guy can just snap their fingers and rewind the whole battle and we have to do it all over again, they can do that infinitely and we have no chance of winning. This is stupid, we're done. Right, so that's an extreme example, but that's the type of thing that's like, no, I would never give a bad guy that. That's crazy. That would be very unsatisfactory gameplay and everybody would be upset about that. But walking up to a dragon and being like, oh my gosh, it's so hot, its scales are actually like radiating fire damage, that's completely reasonable, An ancient lich being able to cast a spell that nobody in the world has ever heard of, reasonable, right? Depending, of course, on what the spell can do. That devils in the details, right? So I feel like I have no problem giving bad guys special things that players don't have access to, but you need to be reasonable about it, and there needs to be a line somewhere. And it's nebulous where I can't tell you what that line is. I can just tell you, if you were to tell me the thing, then I could say, yeah, that crosses the line or not. Like I'll know it when I see it kind of thing. But again, that's based upon my experience and stuff as a game master. So that might not be an incredibly helpful answer for you. Sorry. What is your opinion on players stacking a combo to attempt to one-shot your bosses and monsters, and the DM rebalancing or banning combos to balance the game to keep it challenging and fun for the others? Yeah, so this is basically where I would, if my players had found a special combo that would basically be an easy win button, they do it, and then almost any boss in the first round of combat is done and over with, and there's nothing really per the rules that I can do. This is where I would basically stop the game and I'd be like, okay, listen guys, let me explain something. I just want to, we're gonna have a very candid conversation here. I'm gonna give you an example too. You guys have access to the scry spell and you have access to the teleport spell. So what you guys can do per the rules, and the rules actually don't work this way, but I'm gonna exaggerate a little bit to make a point. Per the rules, you can scry the location of the boss, and per the rules, you can teleport directly to them, gain surprise, and beat the living crap out of them in one round and they're dead. Like, let's pretend that the rules allowed you to do that, and I don't think they do, right? But if they did, and my characters, the players began doing that, I would immediately be like, okay guys, listen, we have a problem here, okay? Because like, you're doing this thing and I acknowledge that the rules allow you to do this, but I have a serious problem as a game master right now. Because I'm not running this game like that. I'm just telling you that if that is the way this game is gonna proceed, I'm done. I'm just not gonna run the game because like, I'm not gonna design an entire adventure for you for everything to be bypassed by this like little loophole in the rules that you found. I'm just not gonna do it. It takes all of my desire and heart for running this game out of it. Like, I'm done. Like, you guys, great. You found the Reddit post. Excellent. You watched the YouTube video that told you about this loophole. I'm very happy that you not only watched the YouTube video or the Reddit post, but you also had the courage to actually implement it, because very few people, lots of people watch those videos and stuff, but only the truly disruptive players actually try those things more than once, right? And so congratulations, you've broken the game, and you have taken the heart out of your game master for running this game. So now we need to talk about this, because I don't want to run that game for anymore. Like, if that's what the game's going to be now, scry, teleport, dead, scry, teleport, dead. If that's what we're doing, I'm done with the game. Like, I don't want to run the game anymore. It's no longer interesting for me. It's no longer fun for me. I'm done. And maybe you guys all love it. Maybe that's fun for you. Maybe there are some of you who don't like it and the others that do, you know, but we need to talk about this, because there's one of two things that's going to happen. Just straight up bottom line. One way or another, you're going to stop doing that, or I'm stopping running the game. Like, I'm done, man. You know, this is no longer fun for me. Now, if it is fun for you as the game master and you have no problem with them doing that, then by all means, let them do it, right? We're assuming that as a game master, you have a problem with that it's not fun for you to run that game. Also, even if you as a game master enjoy that game, and even if some of your players enjoy that game, there are probably some of the other players who feel like they're being cheated out of playing the game, because you're missing out a whole lot on the game if you're just employing one tactic over and over again ad nauseum, right? And so we're assuming that the game master probably doesn't want to run that game. At that point, you level with your players and you tell them, I'm done, guys. I don't want to run that game. You know, if that's what it's going to be, if that's what you guys are going to do, then I'm done. Like, I'm not trying to, like, you know, manipulate you and coerce you. That's not my goal here. My goal is to simply tell you how I'm feeling, and that if that's how the game proceeds, my heart and soul, I'm done. I don't want to run that game. So if you guys want to play that game, find a different game master, and I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to manipulate you, but I'm just telling you how I feel. You know, in the same way that a player will leave a game that they're not having fun in and they no longer want to play in, I as a game master am telling you that if that's the game, I'm done. And so you couldn't, if it comes to that, if that's how you feel, you can just level with them and be like, so now we need to find a solution. Either you guys just don't do that anymore, or I change the rules so it doesn't work anymore, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Now, that's the extreme, right? Now, most players don't get to that level, because most players are rational, you know, human beings who understand that that's really just screwing over not only the game master, because they do a lot of work and then you're just bypassing it all, you know, but you're also screwing over the players who are no longer experiencing the game, lots of parts of the game. You know, this is like the type of thing that, like, in theory sounds amazing, like makes for a wonderful Reddit post, you know, but like if you actually play that game, it gets boring really fast, and very few people have fun. There's the one or two players who are all just like, scry, teleport, dead, scry, teleport, dead. But like most of the people at that table are like, guys, this is so stupid. Like, why are we playing this game anymore? This is just and so like the same thing, if there's a special combo that one shots bosses, you're probably going to get to a point where it's just like, why are we playing this game anymore? Like, what's the point? You know, we're just the same thing every single time. Why are we doing this? You know? And so at that point you have a conversation and you figure things out and you decide what you're going to do. You know, whether it's saying, please just don't do that combo, or just changing the rules and banning it, you know, either is fine if it means there's actually a game to play. Because, you know, if you're at the point where either that combo goes or the game master goes and then there's no game at all, well, then you can make a decision about what the players feel is more important. Is that the hill they want to die on, or is it okay to not do that anymore? Now, my players have almost always been wonderful human beings who understand what the game master's doing, and that things like that are just undesirable in gameplay for most people. Because many of my players have been game masters before, and they understand that things like that tend to ruin the game for most people. Not just the game master, but also many of the players, because you're bypassing the game. It's kind of like if you let's pretend you loved Monopoly. You loved Monopoly, and you wanted to play the 2-hour game of Monopoly where you're like buying properties and you're trading and all this kind of stuff. But then somehow there's a loophole where, like, if you do a certain thing, it's an auto win for somebody. Like, you do that once and then you never want to play Monopoly again if somebody uses that loophole, right? It takes the fun out of the game. And so it's a similar concept. Either you don't use that loophole or you stop playing the game because it's no longer fun. You kind of have a choice, right? I'm obviously going to the extremes to make a point, right? And chances are whatever you're going through lies somewhere in the middle. But it usually involves a conversation with players to arrive upon a hopefully collective decision about something that will work for everyone and make the game fun again for everyone going forward, right? That's usually somewhere in the middle, not the extreme that I painted, right? I paint extremes to make points many times. All right, we have a giveaway going on too, folks. Don't forget to join up for the giveaway. I think there's a link in the chat, and we'll draw the winner to the giveaway in just a little bit here too, as we're winding things down. I answered that question. I didn't click the box. Darn it. I have been interested in your Patreon for some time. However, I exclusively DM Pathfinder First Edition. Does your Patreon have generic DM resources that I would find useful, or is it all 5th edition? It's almost all 5th edition. If you're a Pathfinder First Edition person, you're not gonna find a whole lot of stuff that will just plug and play into First Edition Pathfinder. You're gonna have to rework a lot, everything pretty much. So no, I would say that you would almost assuredly, if I say yes, you're gonna become a patron and you're gonna find out that I lied to you, and then you're gonna be upset and you're gonna want a refund. So I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think you're gonna find what we publish, the resources we publish, are best suited for 5th edition game masters. Now, can you use it? Can you rework it and stuff? Yeah, you could. It's going to take some work on your part. And my whole shtick is easy to use resources. And so, yeah, it's probably going to take a lot of work on your part to revamp them and stuff for Pathfinder. How was 2nd edition received? Can we conclude that the even numbered editions are the bad ones? That would be supposition or coincidence. I liked 2nd. I know a lot of people that I talked to that love 2nd edition. I liked 2nd edition. I didn't have a problem with 2nd edition. Yeah, there's no answer to that. Have you ever used hex crawl style maps? Yes, I use one right now for one of my games. What are my thoughts on it? It works if that's what you want to do. If that's what you're attempting to do, then it works just fine. It's like any tool. It's like any tool. A tool has a purpose, right? If I want to hammer nails, I need a hammer. If I want to screw screws or unscrew screws, I need a screwdriver, right? So like if I'm doing a lot of overland travel by hexes, then a hex map for overland travel is what I need. If I'm running a hex crawl, I need a hex crawl map. You know, if I'm doing a mega dungeon, a hex crawl map does me no good. It's not the tool I need. If I'm doing a mega dungeon, I need a mega dungeon with lots of levels of dungeon layers and stuff. That's what I need. You know, so the tool is as valuable as the value of a tool is proportionate to your need for that tool, and the same is true for hex crawl style maps. So yeah, they're great if that's what you need, and they suck if that's not what you need. What's your favorite, most creative way to handle a PC whose player can't make a session or two? I'll tell you what my favorite way to handle that is. Darkness covers the ceiling and you hear a slurping sound. A black tentacle dips out of the darkness, wraps around the leg of Crontheon, and drags Crontheon up into the ceiling, into the darkness. And you can hear Crontheon's voice trailing off as something happens to him as he's yanked away from your party. And now Crontheon is gone, and only 4 of you remain to confront the evils of the Dreadlord. There you go. Tentacles drag you away. Goodbye, you're gone. Tentacles, man. There's always tentacles that drag people away. Like, that's the thing I use in my games. Tentacles, baby. I use it in my Ancient Dragon game. I've used it. I know I used it in my Hand of Light game. I think the tentacles began. My trend and theme of using tentacles to drag away characters whose players aren't there started in my Hand of Light game. It started because it was a barbarian who was played by a player named Anna. I forget the name of the barbarian, but she was playing a barbarian, and they were in a swamp, and I just improvised tentacles dragging her barbarian away, you know. And then I think they were saying that it might have been like a kraken or something. And then, because Anna was gone for a game session, and then when she came back, you know, she came out of the swamp water, you know, having defeated the kraken or something. And I think that was the first time that I used tentacles dragging people away. And then it just kind of stuck. And now in a game, when I'm running a game where, because sometimes when a player is gone, they're okay if somebody else runs their character. Like my Sword Coast Guard group, which is going to be my Eberron campaign, my Pathfinder 2.0 Eberron campaign. Those players are perfectly fine if somebody else runs their character. They have no problems with it, and so we don't need tentacles. Somebody else just runs their character for them. Now, in my Ancient Dragon campaign that I run for my patrons, they do not want somebody else to run their character. At least one or two of the players don't, and so that's just the rule for the group then. When you're not there, your character's not there, and tentacles come and grab you and take you away. And so, yeah, it began, the theme of tentacles began a few years ago and is now what I just predominantly always use when we need to get rid of a character temporarily until their player comes back. And I'm not saying that that's creative or inventive. All I'm saying is that is what I do. And I feel like if you spend too much time trying to justify why a character is not there, you're missing the point of the game. Maybe. I just don't care to spend time figuring out a role-playing reason or a real reason for a character not to be there. It's like, okay, they're not there, great. Let's just metagame a little bit. They're not there. Let's get, okay, off screen. Okay, goodbye. All right, let's play the game now. You know, that's my style of game. Now, some of you might really need to have a reason for their character not to be there because you're all about the immersion and crafting that like in-game, and you want it to be like, you know what I mean? Like, and if that's your thing, then maybe you need to figure out a reason. And that's really important to the players and to the game master. And that's fine if that's what you want to do. I don't feel that way. And so me, it's just like tentacles, you're gone. Okay, let's play the game. So it really just depends on your flavor and what you want to do. And neither way is right or wrong, right? It's just what everybody has fun and enjoys doing. What is your favorite Eberron content? The Dalkir. So the Dalkir in Eberron are they're like basically aberrations, and they're from the plane of Zoriat, and they basically represent like madness and warped reality and just craziness. They're characterized by like beholders and mind flayers and aberrations and stuff. And in Eberron, the Dalkir live down below the surface of the earth in Kyber, right? And they were trapped away and sealed away there by the orcs, the druid orcs, and the goblin nation were the ones that fought against the Dalkir when portals to Zoriat were originally opened, and the Dalkir and all of their craziness and their aberration creatures were flowing into Eberron. It was originally the goblin nation, the ancient goblin nation, and then the orc druids who fought against them to try to stem them. And it was the druids who were able to create special seals that closed the portals to Zoriat and then stopped the tide of Dalkir that were streaming into Eberron. You know, and now there are still Dalkir and aberrations and bad creatures, but they're trapped down in Kyber, you know, down below the surface of the earth where, you know, they mostly can't harm people. And so, but like, I really like that idea of the Dalkir and the craziness, and they're all kind of trapped down there. And at any point in time, you know, somebody might delve too deep and open up, and oh my gosh, then you have this stem of like, and just crazy, nasty aberrations and stuff, you know. So, spoiler for people who are going to be in my Eberron campaign, you know, they're literally they're going to be delving down and into the realms below and discovering things, and the chances of there being Dalkir are probably pretty good. So yeah, they're cool. I answered that question. I'm super hungry. I need food. I've not eaten anything today. Yeah? Is that bad? Is that bad? I have a group of new players. What are the essential elements to include for a tutorial session to help ground the rules into the mind for each pillar? Literally what you said. You run each pillar of play for them. You develop a small adventure that features exploration, it features some social interactions, and it features some combat. That's it. Give them one of each. Tutorial session, one of each. Exploration, we have a small dungeon. There's a dungeon that has 3 rooms in it. All right, the first room, you go into the first room and they meet an NPC who they talk to. There's your social interaction. They walk into the second room and there's nothing in the room. And yet there's a strange magical barrier that stops them from progressing. Okay, what's going on? We have to find out what's up with this barrier and what, oh, there's some runes. We found some runes on the wall. Okay, what do these do? Oh, you know what? They're all on different tiles that need to be arranged. Oh, there's some sort of puzzle here. Okay, let's figure out how to fix. Oh, the magic barrier came down. All right, we go to the next room. Holy crap, there's like there's some monsters in here and they're attacking us. Holy crap, we have to fight them. Ah, right? Very simple. There you go. There's your tutorial. Three rooms in the dungeon. Each of the rooms has one of the pillars in it, and they can do their social interaction, they do their exploration, and then they do their combat. And you've just given them a tutorial that shows them the basics of the different pillars of the game, and there you go, you're done, right? It's not hard. It's just that's what you do, right? Just literally give them a taste of each of the pillars. And I would put it, and you put that into your typical adventure, your typical dungeon. Right? Dungeon, location-based adventure. You just throw it there, and there you go. You have all of your pillars. It's all in the typical adventure, and then they get to experience it. They get to play D&D, classic D&D, or Pathfinder, or whatever rule system you happen to be using, and then they learn that oh cool, I had a player character die this weekend, and they want to serve a deity to return. What's a good way to incorporate that without the feeling of hand-waving death? No, there's literally no way. That's what you're doing. You're hand-waving death. Like literally, and you're setting a precedent too. You're setting a precedent. Like, okay, guys, anytime your character dies and they go to the afterlife, all you have to do is talk to your deity and convince them to serve them in some way so that you can come back to life. And you're setting a precedent then by which almost any player who wants to can do the same thing and just come back to life because I served my deity. I made a pact and I promised to do X thing and I was brought back to life. The answer to your question is there's no way to accomplish that in my opinion. You are setting a precedent. It is a hand wave of death. It is a complete hand wave of death. You could sit there and be like, well, no, it's not, Luke, because we're going to have some stipulations and some rules, and there's certain things they got to do, and they actually have to do some service to the deity and all this kind of stuff. Like, that's just part of the game, yo. Like, going on adventures and having to quest and do that's the game. That's literally the game. And so even if you say that there's like stipulations and you have to do this service thing, well, you're just giving them another adventure. You're literally just extending the game in a different way with a different hook, with a different flavor, but it's still just a hand wave. You're saying, okay, yes, you can come back to life, but you have to go on the special adventure. Okay, cool. We were going to go on an adventure anyway, and now it's just going to be that one. Fine, but my character comes back. You're hand waving death. You're hand waving death. You are. There's no way around it. Like, you can say technically I'm not, but de facto you are. And you're then setting a precedent whereby anybody's character can they can petition their deity to come back. And if you start denying them that petition, they're going to say, well, you're just playing favoritism now. And why could his character do it? His character did it and came back, but mine can't. Why can't mine? His did it, and now you're not being impartial as a dungeon master, and you're playing favorites. Even if you're playing favorites, even if it's impartiality, or even if you're being partial because everybody's trying to do it now, but it's your fault because you set the precedent. Like, you opened the floodgate, buddy. Now you're responsible for it, and so clean up your mess. So I don't think that you can do that without setting a precedent and without it feeling like a hand wave. No matter what you do, I feel like they're all gonna know it's a hand wave. They'll know. It doesn't matter how much you cook that and bake it and spin it. Everybody at that table, at least if they're, in my opinion, rational, analytical thinking adults, everybody's gonna know it's a hand wave. Everybody. You can't get around it. Like, I did this once. I had a player, Kevin. He showed up to my game table and he died within 15 minutes of coming to my game table. He had a paladin he worked on. He came and sat down. He was a little bit late. And so the group was we'd already begun, and they were already in a combat, you know, and they were in a big fight, and he came in late. And so I took his paladin, his mini, and I put him in a certain part in the map, you know, and it was just really bad luck, bad for the bad guy was going to cast Disintegrate. And to choose a target, I rolled a die to see who the target was going to be, because I wanted to kind of be a little bit, I didn't want to just decide, right? I wanted there to be a chance of who, sometimes I do this, right? Not all the time, but sometimes. The die told me to shoot the Disintegrate spell at Kevin's new paladin. He literally was there for 15 minutes, and he got hit with Disintegrate, and he was irrevocably killed. They were like maybe 6th or 7th level. They weren't that high in level, and so they did not have any resources at all to bring him back from the dead, like nothing. He was just done. So he spent all this time creating his paladin. He was a new player. Now, he's played D&D and stuff before, but he was a new player to me. He literally showed up within 15 minutes, dead, irrevocably dead. Your paladin's done. Okay, so at that point, I brought him back with my Deus Ex Machina. I brought him back. You know, he went down into the afterlife, and his deity was like, "You're not done yet, are you?" You know, I'm kind of cutting this story a little bit. He's like, "You're not done yet, are you? Like, you have more stuff to do in life, don't you?" And then Kevin's paladin was like, yes, I do. Very well then, go back to the real world and finish your duties to me. And then his paladin went back. And then that happened. He came back, and then I literally was like, okay, guys, listen, players, listen to me. This is a one-off exception that I'm doing. This is something that I'm doing that I never do, because brand new player, 15 minutes, dead. So I am, as the game master, deciding that I'm bringing him back from the dead because I feel really horrible right now, and I don't want him to walk away being like, wow, this is wow, you know? And so he's coming back, and that's why. But I want you all to know this is never gonna happen again, right? Like, this is a one-time thing. This is not a precedent. He's back for reasons that I just stated, but, you know, I don't want you all to think that I'm gonna keep bringing your characters back, because I'm not. This happened, it happened, it's over, it's done, let's move on. And I stopped the game, and we had that conversation, right? But if you keep, but yeah, so I think there's a time and a place for that sort of thing. And whether it's warranted or not depends on the specific circumstances, right? I personally felt that it was warranted in that particular case for the reasons I just described, right? But generally speaking, I'm never going to do that. You know, you die and your party can't bring you back, make up a new character. I'm sure there's something out there you're excited to play. Try it out. You might have fun, you know?
Okay. Do you know what the next Kickstarter will be? Yes. So our next Kickstarter is going to be it's going to be our working title is Game Master Advice Kickstarter. Essentially, we have a real title too that I made. I just don't have it handy, and I forget what it was. I've been referring to it by our working title for so long that we have an official title we decided upon. I just don't remember what it is offhand. But it's basically, it's going to be a book. It's going to be a 7x9 book that just has a bunch of information for game masters. How to run the game, how to run a role-playing game. It's not specific to D&D or any particular RPG. It is meant to be a game master information that is for almost any tabletop role-playing game. And it has a lot of the basic considerations of where to start and how to do things, you know, in a system agnostic way. And so, that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And so our hope and our goal with this is there's lots of people that are game masters that decide to become game masters. And, you know, a lot of times there are so many things that aren't really described and explained for us. And it's like a whole brand new world, and we're lost and we're confused. And so my hope is to give folks a book that's not too terribly big, but it still has the content and information you need, so that they can feel a little bit more confident and have more direction on what they're going to do, regardless of whether they're running Pathfinder or D&D or Call of Cthulhu or like Savage Worlds or Hackmaster or whatever it happens to be. And so that's going to be the next Kickstarter. That's going to be coming out
what are we targeting? I think we're targeting June or July or something like that. Zach, Goliath Cleric in the chat, he knows. He's our director of new product development, and so he knows exactly the secret art of game mastery. There we go. The secret art of game mastery is what it is. No, it's not. It's not gonna be similar to that at all. David and Dragons. It's gonna be. I think I read that once before. But it's not based on that at all. I don't even remember what the content of that particular book was. But this is our own book. These are the things about game mastering that we think are probably not like communicators shared enough, that we think that game masters need to know, that should know. And so we want to just give them, and like all the information and experience that I have as a game master. Zach has a bunch. Ed, who is our lead developer, has tons of experience, and we're trying to get our collective experience as a team and put it into this book to help people in their game mastering endeavors. So that's our goal. And so that's going to be coming out June. So we're targeting June for that right now. So that should come out in June. All right, let's do the winner to the giveaway, ladies and gentlemen. Winner to the giveaway. I'm gonna draw the winner right now. Let's go over here. And I gotta get some food. Oh my god, I need some food. I'm so hungry. Drawing the winners to the giveaway. Drawing the winners to the giveaway. Oh, come on. Why is the button not green? What's going on here? I'm gonna have to refresh this page. It's not working. It's not letting me draw the winner. Draw winners. Come on, baby. There are not enough valid entries to draw from. What does that mean? All right, delete all invalid entries. I think it's telling me that not enough people, but there were like 60 people that signed up to it. Why? It literally says there are not enough valid. I have never gotten this before. I have 66 people that signed up, and now it says that there aren't enough entries for me to draw a winner. That's the message I'm getting. Let me show you. I don't know what's going on here. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm just gonna show you what it's telling me. This is really weird. I've never seen this before. And we always have about 60 entries into it. So this is what I'm using, right? And I go to draw winners, and this is what it says. I have 67 people. Maybe I need more people to enter the giveaway. But I have 67 potential users that can win. And then this button is grayed out, and it tells me not enough valid entries to draw from. I mean, I can just... Oh, look at this. I got a pop-up down here. Look at this. You can't see it because my video is covering it, but I have a pop-up down here that literally says, how easy was it for you to complete a winner draw today? Hold on a second. I'm going to take a screenshot of this so I can show this to you, because this is freaking hilariously ironic. I want to show you this pop-up that literally just came up right now as we're struggling to draw a winner. Check this out. This is the pop-up I just got. How easy was it for you to complete a winner draw today? Not very easy, because it's not working, you piece of junk. I'm gonna refresh it. I'm gonna try one more time, then I'm just gonna I'll have to manually draw one or something if it's not working. Yeah, now I have 73 users that can win. Why doesn't this work? I don't know what's going on here, folks. I'm gonna log out and log back in and see if that helps. I mean, this is your problem solving 101 for computers. Turn it off and turn it back on again. All right, I'm gonna log in. People keep signing up too. I have tons of people that we've gotten 10 more signups now since I've been unable to draw a winner. Let's go in here again. This is my last hurrah. This is my last hurrah. I have 81 entries now, and it won't let me draw. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Huh. It's so weird. I can't draw the winner right now, guys. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to figure something out. Yeah, they might have broken something. They might have done something and then broke it on their end. So I can't, literally physically can't draw the winner right now. I'm probably gonna have to go in and I don't know what I'm gonna do. But once I figure out who won, I will contact you. I have a whole bunch of books that I want to give away to people. They're in my garage. I want to give them away. So we'll figure this out. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're done here. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see you next time. We'll be on here next week doing Q&A as well. Thank you. Love you. Have a wonderful day. I'm done going home. Bye. Yep.
Bye. Bye.